Okay, hello. Hopefully it's not laggy. I've been having like some computer problems lately. I have no idea why. Hello. Is it lagging now? My preview is kind of showing that it is a little laggy, but I can't tell. So please let me know, guys, in the chat. Oh, my camera's like all like screwed up too. Wait, let me shift my camera a little bit. Yeah, frig. Okay. I think it should be getting better. Maybe I should just put my camera back on the stand. It's a little too flimsy. But I think it's better. We move in. Okay, what does the bitrate say? Bitrate seems to be pretty good. And so we're just gonna go with it. Hello guys, how are you? Happy Tuesday. Yo, Prime David, the Fire and Fragrance cap. You recognize it? You recognize it? I'm glad you recognize it. For those of you who don't know, Fire and Fragrance is a school in YWAM Kona, where I did my DTS, or at least my lecture phase of my DTS, because I couldn't go on outreach. And so this is a hat from them. Darn technology, so true, Dallas. But who we got in the chat? We got the Huge, we got Leah Rose, we got Stinky, we got Alicia. What's going on, guys? What is up? Sorry I'm late. I had a volleyball practice, and also I was feeding the dogs because I'm watching the dogs right now while my landlord is out. But those dogs, those pesky dogs, my gosh, it's like I brought them outside earlier today and they didn't poop. And then I come downstairs for like 30 minutes and then I go back upstairs and there's poop on the ground. Freaking, That's why, you know, I love big dogs, but the big dogs are such a pain to deal with, especially when they're young. We have a big white golden retriever, and he's around like 7 months old now, so he's still a baby, but he's huge, and he just poops everywhere. I have no idea why he doesn't just poop outside. I mean, he's getting better, but like, gosh, like, poop outside, you freaking savage. We got Amalage. Kongmin is pretty cool. Thank you. Thank you. Kiki, my phone is on mute for now, but I'll be able to unmute after a little while. Oh, interesting. Cool. Well, hopefully you can unmute and hear me. Doggos. Yeah, like, they're cute. I love the dogs that I live with. Like, let me show you. They're so cute. Oops. Let's see if I have a picture of both of them. Well, I don't have a picture, but I uploaded this onto my story the other day. Like, look how cute they are. It's just like,
I can't believe this.
Whoa, Tugs is rating with the party at 26. What's up? Whoa, what's up, Tugs party? What's going on, guys? Hello, welcome to the party. We're talking about the dogs I live with. They're not technically my dogs, but I kind of consider them my dogs. Look how cute he is. A white golden retriever and a Bichon Frise toy poodle mix. Look at them. They're so cute. It's bothering me while I'm eating. They're so cute. Thanks for the raid, Tugs. Chris the Geek 1883 is now following. Thanks for the follow. Happy Tuesday, Chris Geek. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, the camera got whacked up. The camera angle. I have to like sit up straight so that you guys can see my face. Oh no, Amalage redeemed the Onichan sound.
Oni-chan! Oni-chan!
Uh-oh, Kiki and Leia Rose did as well, so we gotta do it 3 times.
Oni-chan! Oni-chan!
One more.
Oni-chan! Oni-chan!
Oni-chan, Oni-chan. Oh my gosh, hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. But yeah. But they're such a pain. Like, they're just so loud all the time too. Like, I was taking a quick nap earlier today. They're just barking their heads off. I'm like, shut up! But dogs, we gotta love it. We love dogs, don't we, folks? We love dogs. We don't eat them either. I certainly don't. And if you think I do, you're racist and you're canceled. All right. But yeah, what's going on, guys? Guys, did you guys hear the news about the Attack on Titan final season, part 3, part 1 coming out? Guys, I'm so annoyed at I'm wondering, does Japan know? Does MAPPA know what final means? They've already done the final season, and the final season part 2. And then now it's the final season part 3, part 1? Like, what? It's gonna be Attack on Titan final season part 3 part 1, and then it's gonna be part 3 part 2, and then it's gonna be final season part 3 part 2 part 1, and then it's gonna be final season part 3 part 2 part 2. It's just like, bro, don't call it the final season if it has like literally 3 seasons. Oh my gosh, hilarious. But you guys want to watch the trailer? It is coming out in 45 days, guys. 45 days. I'm so excited. This year is a crazy year and honestly an amazing year for anime. Anime is scheduled for March 3rd. Let's look at it on Twitter. Right here. Anime trending. Attack on Titan final season part 3 part 1. Apparently, like in Japanese, it's called the final season final part 1. So we'll see if they keep to the final part. But Attack on Titan final season part 3 part 1 anime teaser trailer. The anime is scheduled for March 3rd, right before my birthday. My birthday is March 5th. Also, plug, you see in the right hand corner, we're doing a donation goal so we get a PS5 in time for my birthday. We're almost there. We're almost 2/5 of the way there. We got $181.50 in the goal. We're headed there. But yes, thank you, MAPPA, for the great birthday gift. I can't wait. First episode of Attack on Titan. I was almost at Titan. I'm an idiot. Attack on Titan final season part 3 part 1 coming out March 3rd. Let's watch the trailer. If you guys want to watch, I'm watching it. So even if you don't want me to watch it, I'm watching it.
生まれた時からずっと俺の目の前には鬱陶しい壁があった。
I don't know exactly what he said, but I think he said something about ever since I was young, there's always a really tall wall in front of me.
生まれた時からずっと
So ever since I was young, there was always
俺の目の前には鬱陶しい壁があった。
there was always in front of my eyes a huge wall. Why I can translate that? Okay, I don't know if that's the exact translation, but I think it is. And why I can translate that is because I'm a freaking weeb. That's
生まれた時からずっと俺の目の前には鬱陶しい壁があった。
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yo, guys, this is like, can you imagine these 50-meter tall, or are they like 100-meter tall colossal titans just rampaging through your village and through your town, through your city, just crushing everyone and just, gosh, you know how horrifying that'd be? The freaking rumbling is horrifying. Like, look, there's just people being crushed. Oh my gosh. And there's Aaron in his Titan form.
これが自由だ。
これが自由だ! This is freedom. That's what Aaron says.
生まれた時からずっ
The
と
teaser trailer. I'm so excited.
これが
Like, look at this. The graphics on Twitter are awful, but gosh, look how this, it's just so menacing. Look how ugly they are. Those colossal titans with no skin. You see all their muscle exposed. And look, wow, look at that statue guy, just his head chopped off, open mouth. Freaky, freaky, freaky.
これが自由だ
Man, I'm so excited. I'm so excited! Attack on Titan is hands down the best anime of all time. Fight me. I will die on this hill. But yes, Attack on Titan. I'm so excited. The Colossal Titans. Yes, Hawk 6. The Colossal Titans. Freaking crazy. Can you imagine? Because remember in the last season, like you saw them, the way that they traversed the water, like they were like, boo! They were like swimming super fast, like dolphins, like these 100-meter tall dolphins. Just, I think it's because they can use the steam or something out of their body to just propel themselves. Crazy, so scary, and they're just slowly walking, trampling over all your family members and friends and the city that you grew up in, and it's crazy. Can you imagine that? It'd be freaking horrifying beyond all comprehension. I have high hopes for this. I just hope MAPPA puts in the same amount of effort that they did with Chainsaw Man, because Chainsaw Man had like so many frames per episode. You can tell the animation was a little choppier in MAPPA's version of Attack on Titan versus the first 3 seasons with Wit Studio. And so I'm just really hoping that at least in this season, they've really bump up the animation. Because in terms of everything else, like the soundtrack, the voice acting, the execution in general, the final season by MAPPA was very well done, in my opinion. It's just the animation was the most lacking element, in my opinion. Because Wit Studio was just goated when they animated Attack on Titan. The actual anime is too dark. The anime is really dark, but it's not that dark. I don't think it's like super dark where you, like the average person can't watch it. But then again, you know, everyone has a different tolerance for how much they can tolerate in terms of like super heavy themes and things like that. Yeah, Hawk 6, so true. It really was their masterpiece. I don't know why, but this is something that Wit keeps doing, which I am very, very sad about. I get it's a really small studio. Sorry. I get it's a really small studio and they're severely understaffed and they take on big projects. But for example, Vinland Saga, Wit Studio knocked that out of the park. It was incredible. The first season of Vinland Saga was incredible. And then they gave it to MAPPA. And then the first 3 seasons of Attack on Titan was just seriously immaculate, like perfect. And then they gave it to MAPPA. Like, stop. Like, we like you guys, Wit Studio. Keep making anime for us. It really was their masterpiece, really. I totally agree. Like, first season of Attack on Titan was so good. That's what got me hooked on anime. And yeah, I agree. MAPPA is still good, but it's just not the same. It's not the same. Yeah, I guess they're moving on to bigger and better projects or something, because at least for like Ranking of Kings was Wit Studio and it was really good. I really liked it. What else did Wit Studio do or is working on? I think Wit Studio did what's that vampire anime called? They did the vampire anime. Owari no Seraph. Yes. Owari no Seraph. Champagne Future. Am I trilingual? I guess I'm kind of quadlingual. I'm definitely bilingual. But I know enough Japanese to understand it. I still have trouble speaking it, like, well. Because I know phrases, I know words, but to string together sentences for conversations, I'm still working on it. Spanish, I forgot a lot of it, but I used to be actually pretty good at Spanish because I went to like Mexico for missions growing up, and I also took Spanish in high school. So I was always using Spanish. So yeah, so I don't know if you guys watched this. This was okay. Like, it wasn't the greatest. Seraph have the end. Owari no Serapu. Something like vampires. Oh yeah, obviously Spy Family, duh. Spy Family, duh. I'm an idiot. Almost forgot Spy Family. Spy Family, fantastic. I mean, guys, you guys know how good Spy Family is. You guys know how good Spy Family is. That's Wit Studio. Ranking of Kings. Let me see, what else have they done? I don't really know much of these. They did Star Fox Zero. They did Star Fox Zero. What the heck? Yes, they haven't worked on a lot. Look. So, again, in the grand scheme of things, they're a very small studio and they're still young. When did they form? Established 2012. See? They're pretty young with all things considered, and they're really small. But they did Vinland Saga, Seraph of the End, Spy Family, Attack on Titan. Oh, they also did this one, the Kabaneri Fortress one. Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress. Kotetsujo no Kabaneri. So the Kabaneri is a Kabaneri. It's like the blend of a zombie and human. And then Kotetsujo. So Tetsu is iron. And then Kotetsujo, I guess it's Iron Fortress. I know Tetsu is iron. Because, you know, Tetsu in My Hero Academia. But this one was okay. Animation was good, but overall story was just It was just fun. It was just like a regular, like, fun action thing to watch and like zombie thing to watch. But yeah, they haven't really worked on that much, you know? And so I was really sad when they gave away Attack on Titan. Because they weren't gonna renew it for the final season, and then MAPPA took it on. Which I'm grateful. I'm so grateful to MAPPA for animating it, but Wit Studio, come on, man. Come on. You guys are so good. You guys are so good. Oh my gosh, so true, Hawk6, so true. That's also the problem because, you know, Japanese animators and animation studios, I mean, they get paid like crap for the amount of hours and love that they put into all the anime that they make and produce and animate. I mean, it's just fantastic. And just imagine if Japanese animation studios had a fraction of the budget Western companies waste on garbage. I totally agree, Hawk6. It's just, imagine if like Wit Studio had a $300 million budget to work on a season of Attack on Titan. Or let's do like what's it? Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. Rings of Power, they spent over $1 billion, right? I think the average episode budget was what, like 50 million? So they spent 50 million on each episode. Imagine if they gave a season of anime, $1 billion. Wow! Can you imagine how good it would be? Gosh, like it's already so good with the limited budget and with the animators being paid like crap. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how good it would be? Gosh, so true. MAPPA is good, but they will not top One Punch Man season 1. Who animated One Punch? Who animated the first season again? It was really good. And then obviously MAPPA took on season 2. Oh no, season 3. Who took on season 1? Let me see. Who took on season 1? Madhouse, right? Madhouse. Madhouse is really good. And then who took on season 2? Was it MAPPA who took on season 2? No, season 3 is MAPPA took on season 3. It was animated by JC Staff. What else did JC Staff do? I'm not sure. But I know a lot of people weren't happy with JC Staff. A lot of people really liked the original animation with Madhouse, which I agree. I really thought Madhouse blew it out of the water with the first season of One Punch Man. It was so good. Uh-oh, Kiki redeemed the Oni-chan sound. Wait, twice? And also Alicia did it as well? Shoot.
Oni-chan, Oni-chan.
Alright, 1.
Oni-chan, Oni-chan.
2.
Oni-chan, Oni-chan.
3. Oh my gosh. Oh, JC Staff is the one that did Food Wars? Food Wars does look pretty. I don't recommend watching it though. It's literally like softcore porn. It's just weird. It's like you take a bite. Oh, You like take off all your clothes. Sorry, I had to blow my nose. But yeah. So Hawk 6, do you think the COVID situation played a part in Wit handing AOT over? No, I heard it was just they just didn't want to do it anymore because they like almost didn't sleep at all. The animators and the creators of Attack on Titan from Wit Studio, they almost like didn't sleep at all. Like, do you guys know how many frames went into all those fights that they animated? Like, they just did not sleep, and the working conditions for them were so rough, like, to get things out and meet the deadline. Like, can we just appreciate Levi versus, for example, the Beast Titan? Like, goodness gracious. Like, look. Like, bro, like, this is like probably took like weeks to animate, working like maybe 80 to like 100-hour weeks. Can I get it? Oh, that's 480. I kind of want 1080. Okay, this is with the This is with a different soundtrack. That's not what I want. Okay, let's just watch it, this one. Kawaii Sony. Right here, right here. Kyoji no tare taorete. Also, it's the shading too. Wit Studio, the shading, it was so good. Mappa's rendition is kind of like, it's a bit flat. It's okay though. I still love it, but it's so flat compared to the shading. Like, shading and with Wit Studio was just so good. Like this. Woo! Wow. And oh, you need to be careful, Levi.
一人の兵士に気をつけろって？
気をつけろって？
リヴァイ兵長は危険です。
危険です。こいつのリヴァイが。Woo! And right here, it's just crazy.
何も見えない。
Woo! Like, you don't see anything like that from Mappa. I'm sorry. But the thing is, like, Mappa can animate it really, 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 really well. You've seen it with like Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man. It's just they don't put the like enough resources into Attack on Titan, which makes me very sad. Wait, they spelled enjoying wrong in the subtitles. I know the stream is a little laggy, but I apologize. But oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's so good. Ooh. Woo! You got wrecked. So anyways, like, you don't see anything like that from Mappa. You see good scenes from Mappa in Attack on Titan, but not nearly as good as that. Like the Mikasa on the rooftop sequence in the last season was really good in Attack on Titan from Mappa. But it's just, I wish they had the same amount of effort and love and resources poured into Attack on Titan, just like Jujutsu Kaisen or Chainsaw Man or things like that. Oh, was I malfunctioning? Sorry. I need to like either update my PC or upgrade my PC because it's like it's lagging when I just literally like change my scene to like this. Like, do you see how laggy I am? I like It goes from 60 frames per second to like 10 frames per second. But then I have no problem with gameplay, which is so annoying. So I need to figure that out. Probably like I need to upgrade my GPU or something. Which maybe that can be our next donation goal. Hot take. CGI in anime hate is so forced because there's good CGI in anime. Like, low-key true. Low-key true. Wait, Slick Rick, get up. No, I'm actually thinking about reaching out to Meta PCs. I need enough, like, people, because most of my follower base is not super into gaming, but I think a lot of them do need, like, computers and stuff, so that would be amazing if I could get a sponsorship from Meta PC, because I know a lot of people in my own life, a lot of friends who are sponsored by Meta PC. I have to get the hookup, man. I have to get the hookup. I know they make great PCs and they're not PC. Haha, get it? Dad joke. Haha. But no, like I agree. The CGI hate in anime is forced because there's good and there's bad CGI. Like what Skeptic said right now. Demon Slayer has really good CGI. Do you guys remember in the first season, the Hinogami Kagura from Tanjiro's flashback when he thought about his dad's dancing? Like that CGI, that was all CGI. JM Hendrix 225's not following. Thanks for the follow. How are you? Happy Tuesday. But what's it called? What was I saying? Oh, that CGI. Like it looked so good. The CGI, that was all CGI. Like his movements, his dancing, his dad's dancing. The Hinogami Kagura in his flashback, when he had that flashback right before he was killing which demon was that? Was the white-haired demon? I forgot what he was called, but the white-haired demon who could do the spider things. That was really good CGI. It looked great. A lot of CGI was used in Chainsaw Man. It looked fantastic. When they were animating Denji, they used a lot of CGI for his action movements. It looked really good. There's a way to use CGI well in anime, but of course, always 2D drawn animation will always look the best in anime, because I really don't think anime is anime without CGI, because it's supposed to be like 2D, you know? It's supposed to be 2D and it has good shading that makes it more 3D, but it's always 2D, because then what makes it really different than American animation, you know, like Pixar and things like that, which is all 3D. I like 2D animation, and I like the way that I like the love and the care and the unique quality and the creativity that the Japanese animators put into anime. So I want to keep it that way, and I want to see it kept that way as much as possible. I just want them paid better, and I want more money poured into the anime industry in Japan so that they can pay their animators well for the work that they put in. If you want an example of horrendous CG in anime, X-Arm. I haven't watched X-Arm. I'll take a look. But if you want an example of horrendous CG, go look at there's like a new movie or season of 7 Deadly Sins coming out, and it's all CG, but it's like all 2D, and it looks worse than Genshin Impact. It looks worse than Genshin Impact. It looks so bad. So yeah, Skeptic, so true. You gotta pick and choose when to use CGI to enhance it and not overly rely on it. So true. That is very true. Like Demon Slayer, for example, I mean, UFO Table, aside from Wit Studio, UFO Table is my favorite animation studio. They are just so incredible. So freaking incredible with every anime that they make. And you guys should watch the Fate series that UFO Table did. It's just, gosh, so pretty. It's so good. But with Demon Slayer, you know, it's UFO Table, and most of their animation is 2D. It's so beautiful. I mean, goodness gracious. Like episode 10 of the Entertainment District arc, and then episode 19 of the first season. It's just, it's such beautiful animation. But there was CG a little sprinkled in, and it was really good. Especially in, you know, episode 19, again, when I talk about the Hinogami Kagura flashback, it was so good. So good. Do you remember how good the AOT Season 4 trailer looked with the 2D Titans? Do you mean the 3D Titans? Because like MAPPA used a lot of CGI for their Titan. Wit barely used CGI. I'm trying to think of when Wit used CGI. Like, they rarely ever did. And they like hand drew all of their Titans, which was amazing. And when MAPPA hand drew the Titans in Season 4, that's when it really shone. But, you know, for example, the Armor Titan... Oh, no, they did use CGI. Wit did use CGI for the Colossal Titan. The Colossal Titan. That was really good. Actually, it was okay. It wasn't the greatest, but they did use CGI for the Colossal Titan. I can't think of any other instance they used CGI. But it was really funny because MAPPA hand drew the Colossal Titan, but then CGI'd all the other Titans, which was weird. But honestly, the Armor Titan didn't look too bad. Didn't look that bad. Like, it didn't look bad CGI'd. Like, it actually worked. The Beast Titan looked a little bit... the CGI for the Beast Titan, in my opinion, was a little jarring. But I think one example of CGI, like really bad CGIs too, is Blue Lock. Have you guys watched Blue Lock? It's exciting. Like, I don't think it's like the best anime. It started out really strong, but then it kind of died down for me, in my opinion. But like, the 2D drawn players when they're playing soccer is really good, and then they'll have these moments of like wide shots, and then all the players would be animated, like CG animated, but then they would look so bad. It looks awful. They look like mummies, like wobbling, and it's just the shading is really off. And yeah, Blue Lock's an example of really bad CGI. It's really jarring, like very, very jarring. In fairness, Wit didn't have to draw all the Titans for the rumbling. Yeah, that's true. No, but MAPPA hand drew a lot of the Titans when they when they animated the rumbling, which, you know, again, I would understand and I would be more forgiving of CGI being used for all these Colossal Titans, but they use CGI in different instances, which I felt like they should have hand drawn instead. But, you know, to each their own, I guess, in terms of where they want to CGI things and where they don't. I refuse to watch Blue Lock because a friend of mine said there's a Bakugo type in it. There is. One of the players is a Bakugo type who just yells all the time. Hand-drawn anime at its best will always be the most impressive. I totally agree, Slick Rick. So true. I heard UFO Table. No, I think UFO Table, you know, has an average budget. I don't know. I feel like they're pretty well funded compared to the other animation studios. Then again, I haven't actually looked into it, but yeah, the animators put in so much care for the product. You know, that's why they called Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. The nickname for that series was Fate Stay Night Unlimited Budget Works, because goodness gracious, it was such a pretty anime. It was so well animated. It was incredible. It looked so good. So good. Anyways, I love Attack on Titan. I'm really excited for this. In less than 2 months, we're getting it, guys. We're getting the final season, part 3, part 1. So then it's probably going to be 12 episodes, and then we're probably gonna have to wait for part 2. And I hope they finish it with part 2, because I'm tired of the part 1, the final season, part 1, part 2, part 1. Yeah. I think the one place they shouldn't have is the Beast Titan, because its expressiveness. Yeah, I agree. The expressiveness was lost. It's kind of like, because this is where the Beast Titan played a really important role, right? Because he collaborated with the Eldians when they first came to Marley. And it was just like, a lot of it was lost on us. He just like, was like, But like, you know, it's like, for example, it worked for the Armor Titan, because the Armor Titan was always pretty not as expressive. Where if you look at the Beast Titan in with Studios Attack on Titan, like when he first saw the 3D maneuvering gear, he was like, "Ooh, like what is this?" And you can tell like he was very curious. He's never seen it before, which implied that he wasn't from there, which was a huge foreshadowing for what was to come in terms of there's a whole world out there and Eldians aren't the only humans left. Skeptic, they called it the final season before the manga was finished. Why don't they just call it season 4 then? And there's literally 9 chapters left for AOT to be animated. I can't imagine each part is going to be 12 episodes. There's only 9 chapters left? Yeah, I don't... That doesn't leave a lot of episodes to be animated unless they're like, gonna like draw it out a lot. And the pacing's gonna be like One Piece pacing. Or they're gonna make some anime-only choices, which usually go bad. So I don't know what they're gonna do with it. Anywho, I'm excited. I'm really excited for Attack on Titan. Mappa, thank you so much for animating it, because without you, there would be no final season part 3, part 2, part 1, you know? So yeah, I'm really excited. Are you guys excited? Let me know if you're excited. Let me know if you're excited in the chat or in the comments. Let me know. All right. Might as well postpone it and make it a movie. I agree, Skeptic. That it would do so well in theaters. Like, make it a theatrical release. Make it a theatrical release. Make a lot of money from it. Make it a theatrical release in Japan. It's gonna do really well. Like, Demon Slayer did really well in theaters. The Mugen Train arc did really well. Also, Jujutsu Kaisen 0 did really well in theaters. And, like, the My Hero Academia ones also do really well in theaters. And so, and Attack on Titan, like a final movie, like it would do so well in theaters here in America, in my opinion, because it's a very popular anime. Arctic Wind, yeah, I heard a lot of things about the ending. I unfortunately saw a manga panel on Twitter which spoiled something for me, which I was very sad about, because I've been an anime only guy for Attack on Titan like religiously. But yeah, I heard the ending is not that great. I heard a lot of people didn't like the ending, so I'm kind of looking forward to it almost to see why. Oh yeah, Demon Slayer has a ways to go. Skeptic, ways to go. Have you read the whole manga? Arctic Wind, try to erase it from your memory. Do it brain clean. I can't. Like, what do you think I am? Like some cyborg where just like plop it out. It wasn't a huge spoiler, but it was a pretty big spoiler. Like, it didn't spoil like the complete end. So I don't know exactly what happens in the end, but I have a somewhat of an idea what happens. Oh, Skeptic. I feel like Tanjiro becomes like the headmaster again, probably, of the Hashiras. But I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna ask for you to spoil anything, because I hate when things are spoiled for me. Like, I hate it. People are like, oh, it's just a story, it's just entertainment. I'm like, bro, shut up. It's art. I don't want it spoiled, okay? Because then it takes all the fun out of the story when you watch it and you already know how the story's gonna end. Wait, you're not a robot? I'm not. I'm not a bot. I'm a real person, guys. I am a real live human being. No spoilers. So true, Arctic Wind. So true. I won't mention anything that hasn't been released in anime yet. Thank you. Thank you. And it's like, if you haven't watched the anime yet, like, that's your fault. Like, I'll just say whatever I want. Kiki, Tanjiro's actually Nezuko after all this time? Like, whoa. They're kind of like the upper rank demon. Was it the 6th ranked demon that they just fought with the Sound Hashira? They were like 2 and 1. They're like merged. Don't look up GIFs of a show you haven't finished. That's true. I feel like there's one show that I watched where I like used the GIFs and it was like spoiled for me. The Michael Jackson dude. No, not the Michael Jackson dude. The Michael Jackson dude is what's his name? Muzen. He's like the head boss. I'm talking about the one that the Sound Hashira just beat with Tanjiro and Inosuke and what the heck is his name? Oh, Zenitsu. There you go. I looked at my Funko Pop because I had a brain fart. Daki and Kyutaro. There you go. Thank you. Daki was the girl and Kyutaro was the guy. And it was such a sad backstory, but it was a very powerful story. I really liked it. It was one of the more powerful moments in the anime so far, definitely. When, spoiler alert, if you don't want it spoiled, cover your ears if you haven't watched the Entertainment District arc. But, you know, after they chop off their heads and the siblings are yelling at each other, like, I hate you. Like, you learn of their story, like how rough their childhood was. And then, like, they start crying. And then Tanjiro was like, don't say that to each other. Like, you guys are all you guys have. You guys only have each other. And it was like really powerful. And then once they die and then they go into the afterlife, it's like they're always together. And it's like, you'll never leave me, right, brother? Like, yeah, we'll always be together. And it was a very powerful moment. Yeah, no, Hawk's sick. And that's very true. Like, it doesn't hold a whole arc of the villains. Like, that can be useful, right? And that can be done well. But they give us enough backstory where you start to really almost empathize with the demons, which is crazy because, you know, these are human killing genocidal maniacs. But that's why it's like, you know, I've said this on stream before on Weebs and Waifus, but like, the character of Tanjiro is actually a really good biblical example of the healthy tension between grace and justice, where, you know, we have to put down these demons because they deserve, not only do they deserve it, and that's the right punishment for them, for justice to be done, but yeah, like, we need to put them down because they're just killing people. And if we don't, they'll continue to kill people. But it's like, you see Tanjiro like gives them a path of redemption almost every time. He kills them not out of like hate in his heart, but for a sense of duty to protect people. And then once they get like are almost beaten or get their heads chopped off and they have their final moments, he shows them grace and he's like, you can still, you know, redeem your life, which is such a powerful message, which almost is emblematic of Christianity. Like, where else do you see that? Where, you know, there's always the very political, theological, metaphysical extreme of, no, like, soft on crime, you know, everyone's a victim of their environment, you know, it's okay that they do evil because it was justified, almost in that sense. And they're like, you know, it's fine, don't give them punishment. And then there's the other extreme of like, only give them the punishment, be really hard, and like screw them because they were a menace to society. But these demons were the ultimate menaces of that society in the Taisho era. And yet, while all the other demon slayers are like, we're just killing them, just kill the demons, whatever, that's our job, Tanjiro's like, yeah, I understand that's my job, and I will do that, take down as many demons and take down Muzen as much as I like take down as much demons as I can and put them down and go after Muzen. But also, these were also people once, and a lot of the times they became demons because not only maybe they were manipulated, or maybe they had a really rough childhood and that's the only way out they saw in order to survive. And Tanjiro's like, I understand that about you. And here, there's a way for you to redeem yourself in the last moments of your life. And I think it's very powerful. And I don't know, I've thought about making like an extensive video about this, explaining this on YouTube, but you know, that's something that I know, like I thought about when watching Demon Slayer last year, about like what other worldview really offers that. Like a lot of times it's always like this very Gnostic, almost like neo-pagan thing of like, you know, whoa, like very liberal, like everything's okay and everyone is a victim of their environment, and people only do harm because they're victims of their environment or institutional corruption or whatnot. Like individuals cannot do wrong. And then there's the other extreme of like, no, just the individual did wrong, and if they did wrong, there's no other room for grace or mercy and nothing like that. But then in the Christian faith, there is that healthy tension that Jesus really showed us, but also outlined to us in the Word of God of, you know, for example, the death penalty is biblical because God really values life, and really he made every single person in the image of God. And so life intrinsically has value. Like each person intrinsically has value. But if a person if a person's a serial killer, the just punishment for them would be for them to have the death penalty. But it doesn't mean that we just kill them off and that's it. But even though we administer the just punishment for the serial killer, we still give them grace and share the gospel with them and say, hey, there's still hope for you, still room for you to redeem those past heinous sins. But we can't. Forgiveness does not mean we forget, right? Forgiveness is not forgetfulness. So when you forgive someone, you can still forgive the most heinous of criminals, but still justice must be done. You must still be held accountable for your crimes and for the evil that you committed. And so, whoa, North Korean Cookie Monster donate $3. Thank you. Jesus had me saved me from Korean shamanism. Now I'm an Orthodox Christian. Based. Praise God for that. Praise God for that. Thank you so much for the $3 donation, North Korean Cookie Monster. Praise God. But yeah, like I was saying, and that's like what other religion or worldview really shows that, which is why I find it so interesting, because, you know, there's so many Shinto themes, and you can clearly tell that Demon Slayer was very inspired by Shintoism, yet they have this very strong Christian ethic in the show, which I find it very fascinating, which is, in my opinion, the most interesting part about Tanjiro's character. I used to think he was just like the typical, not typical, but kind of like almost like a Mary Sue character in terms of his personality, where he's like, he never does wrong, he's just always so nice. But that's not the case, right? Like, you saw him get enraged, you saw him get really sucked into his anger and his fury, but he doesn't do things like, oh, we have to, oh, maybe we'll give the demon a second chance, it's okay. Like, no, he's like, I'm gonna chop your head off because that's the right thing to do, because we need to save these people because you're a demon and you're killing all these people. But then once the justice is administered, he gives them grace and he gives them a path towards redemption, even in their last seconds breathing as demons. And very powerful, very, very powerful stuff. I think that's the most compelling part of Tanjiro's character, which is very unique to Tanjiro, I feel like. But yeah. Oh, Slick Rick, you watch To Your Eternity too? It seems like the writer read and studied the Bible at least a little bit. What do you mean by that? Can you expound on that? Can you at least like expound on it a little bit? I know you probably have to go to Bible study or something, but I've been watching To Your Eternity. I don't find it's not the greatest, but it's interesting and it's intriguing. Arctic Wind donated $5.50. Honestly, I enjoy these talks. Used to have them with my Christian group that I went to back in high school. Okay, got it. Yeah, no. And again, these are conversations that are good and interesting because it gets you thinking not just about the physical, but about the metaphysical, which is so important. People just neglect the metaphysical. But you need the metaphysical because it informs how you live. It shapes how you live and what you live for. And so I love these conversations as well. I totally agree. But in terms of, and also thank you so much for the donation. Really appreciate it. We're at 190. Let's go. We're at 190. Love you guys so much. Thank you. But To Your Eternity, I find it to be very interesting. Like, I don't know exactly. I don't see it, but maybe you can expound on it, Slick Rick, if you're still in the chat, about why you think the creator of To Your Eternity studied the Bible at least a little. Because I find that to be like in To Your Eternity, it's almost like it's explicitly a critique on organized religion, where, spoiler alert, there's a church that goes after the main character Fushi, declaring him a heretic, and whoever is declared a heretic, right? Just because they're declared a heretic, not if they're actually heretical, right? Or if they do harm, but just because they're declared a heretic, they're like executed, which, you know, it's a whole different conversation in and of itself, but that's wrong, right? Because if someone's not doing wrong, and if they are innocent, there's no reason to execute them in that way, right? That's wrong. That is wrong. That is a perversion of justice, and God is not pleased with that. But I think To Your Eternity, in terms of Christianity, that's a very explicit critique that I've seen. If you guys haven't watched it, you should watch it. It's pretty interesting, but I find it to be more like pagan, like very like pagan in its like environmental themes almost. Like, it's a very environmentally pagan show, if that makes sense. Kiki, I see your message. Have you watched Erase? It's really good. My mom was roped into it. She doesn't watch any other anime other than Studio Ghibli. Yes, I watched it. Very, very underrated anime. Very good. I forgot mostly what happens. I have the general gist of what happens, but I'm gonna rewatch it soon because I do remember it was really good. I have the general gist, but I don't remember specifically, so I can't say specifically what exactly I loved about it. But I remember it was really good, so I do recommend it. It was really good. K-Streamer of the Year, Limmy Wan Kenobi. Thank you. I appreciate that. I haven't tried Final Fantasy. I'm a terrible gamer. I haven't even played Final Fantasy. When Demon Slayer is finished, there's a great series on YouTube that goes over characters' names that are deeper meanings than themes. I won't say the channel now because it does go over spoilers. Got it. But yeah, when it's finished, yeah, let us know. Would love to see it. Jared Thorne, hey man, how you doing? Happy Tuesday. Taxi driver, paganism in Europe is increasing. It is increasing. I mean, it's increasing everywhere. Like, you see how many people love the horoscope stuff and the Enneagram stuff and all of these pagan ritualistic trends and beliefs and almost rituals, right? Yeah, Kiki, it is really good. I need to rewatch it soon. You know, after I like started to really think more critically about shows and entertainment, about film, animation, things like that, I'm able to really retain a lot more because, again, I think about the themes, I think about the characters, I think about the worldview, because every story portrays a certain worldview, right? Every story conveys the worldview of the writer. And so this is why I loved Peter Jackson, because he was so faithful to Tolkien's message and worldview in Lord of the Rings. In the Lord of the Rings trilogy, when he created, he explicitly said, we're not trying to convey our message or convey any other message or story other than the message and the story of Tolkien. And so the very strong Orthodox Christian views of Tolkien came out. His Catholic views came out in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, in the movies, which I loved. But every story shows you the worldview of the creators / the writer. And so, what worldview is that? Is it showing you? What lessons, what kind of lessons is it teaching you? And, you know, I think about these things a lot. And so I think I'll watch Erased again. I'll think about those things more, and I'll be able to comment a little more on it. Hawk 6, I might be reaching a bit, but I always felt like the path in AOT was allegorical to how all Christians are connected to Jesus and humans which pervert it into monsters. Interesting. Hawk 6, I haven't thought of that before. The path in AOT. So, spoiler alert, guys. Sorry, there is like this path that connects all Eldians. But the path in AOT was allegorical to how all Christians are connected to Jesus. And humans which pervert it turn into monsters. Interesting. I think it might be a reach. It might be a reach. Because I don't think Isayama is Christian, right? Japan is a less than 1% Christian country, which is crazy. But I think that might be a reach. Because, you know, when I think about these things, I don't try to insert my own worldview. Like when I talked about Demon Slayer showing a Christian ethic, like it is a Christian ethic, but I don't think the creator of Demon Slayer was thinking, wow, I love this Christian ethic of the healthy tension between grace/mercy and justice, and I'm gonna convey that through Tanjiro. But I feel like there's something yearning in the writer's heart in order to create that character in Tanjiro, which I thought was very powerful, which happens to align with Christianity. But let's see. Okay, Slick Rick, I'm gonna read this. I'm very interested. On To Your Eternity, Season 1, Episode 16, and it's amazing. The orb seems obviously like a messianic type manifestation figure, similar to how Jesus had to grow in wisdom and how the Maker has a mission for it to learn and help humanity. It's also immortal and comes to live to help people and show them compassion. Also, the knockers, Nokazu, seem like a clear analogy for Satan because it's described as wanting to steal from the orb and destroy its mission. Interesting. Obviously, there's differences there, but let me read a little more. I can see the paganism in it for sure. There are questionable spiritual ideas into your eternity, but it has more of a universal theme that has many things in common with Christian ideas. Okay. Also, the church in the show can be seen as a representation of something more like cancel culture than the actual church. Yeah. Slick Rick, that's true. I agree. I believe great stories come out of an outpouring of a desire for writers to, when they yearn for Christ and they don't know how to address it, but then it manifests in these beautiful stories because they're like, I have this yearning in my heart. I have this thing that I want to do good. I want to spread a good message. And the way that they do it through is through storytelling. But Slick Rick, interesting point. Obviously, it's not a one-to-one comparison because, for example, Jesus the Son dwelled with God the Father and the Holy Spirit in eternity. God is 3 in 1. And obviously, the black one into your eternity is not actually the same. It's not in like a trinity with the orb, and the orb was created, hasn't been an eternal being that has been living eternally before even time began. So obviously there's differences there, but that's very interesting. I'll let that marinate, but that's a very interesting point about how, Jesus did have to grow in wisdom, but also he was wisdom incarnate because he is literally God incarnate in flesh, right? The transubstantiation, well, that's the wrong word. The incarnation of God in man, that is Jesus. And so he already had that wisdom before he was even born of the Virgin Mary. That being said, he also still had to grow in wisdom until he started his ministry. But he was always God, always 100% God and 100% man. But I do see the similarities with the Knockers and Satan of stopping his mission to destroy his mission, to subvert his mission on Earth. Very interesting. Very interesting. I definitely, maybe you can say that the writer pulled from the Gospels for inspiration for the story. I can see that now. I can kind of see that. That's very interesting. Good point, Slick Rick. 11 Nana 12 is now following. Thanks for the follow, 11 Nana 12. How are you? Happy, I was about to say Friday. It's not Friday, it's Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Taxi driver, what is your opinion on the Joseon Dynasty? Joseon Dynasty, you know, it reigned for how many years? So the Goryeo Dynasty fell in the late 1300s, so around 500 years. Which is kind of short, honestly, but Joseon Dynasty was around for a little over 500 years, I think, if I'm doing my math correctly and if I have my historical dates correct. I think it's good. I mean, overall, I think it's been good overall for Korean culture because the most, like, a lot of traditional Korean culture that we still practice and hold on to today is largely from the influence of the Joseon Dynasty, because after Japan annexed Korea, we lost a lot of that because we were indoctrinated and taught to become Japanese because Japan was so much better, apparently. And then during the Korean War, we split. And so there's a lot of turmoil in the first half of the 20th century for Korea. And so Joseon Dynasty was the closest roots that we can hold on to as Koreans. And there's a lot of great things that came from the Joseon Dynasty. You had Lee Sun-shin, General Lee Sun-shin, one of the greatest war heroes in Korean history. 1592, fought against the Japanese valiantly. Great stories, amazing stories about turtle ship that he designed and how he was, with a few ships against all odds, held out and beat like over 300 Japanese ships, and it was crazy. So that was awesome. You had Sejong Daewang, King Sejong, who was one of the great kings in Korean history, but he laid out the framework and the foundation for the modern Korean alphabet. And back then it was called Hunminjeongeum, and he first created like Korean letters that we use today. And up until that point, up until the turn of the 20th century, Koreans were still using Chinese to write. And so that was very influential. And a lot of great influential things, cuisine as well, traditions. Also, my ancestor, Yi Hwang, who's on the $1 bill in Korea, he was a prolific Neo-Confucian scholar who I descended from. And so, you know, if I lived in the Joseon Dynasty, I would have been nobility. I would have been pretty well off. But, you know, there's really cool accomplishments there. And I think overall, because, you know, the Goryeo Dynasty before the Joseon Dynasty was mainly Buddhism, was the main religion of the Korean Peninsula, right? Of the Goryeo Dynasty. Buddhism was the main religion, but then Confucianism became the main religion in the Joseon Dynasty. And I think that really rooted Koreans in our filial piety, in our traditions, in our love for family, for hierarchy, for order, for stability, for authority, which are very conservative values, which I love and appreciate today. Yes, that's true. Taxi driver, that's true. So it was during the Joseon Dynasty when the first Christians came to the Korean Peninsula and started to preach the gospel. You know, for around 100, 200 years, there were the Korean martyrs, where I think around a few hundred Koreans or Koreans were murdered for converting into Christianity, which was a huge no-no back in the day. And so they did persecute Christians a lot. But because of the faithful work of the missionaries who came to Korea, Korea had massive revival at the turn of the 20th century. So in the beginning of the 20th century and at the end of the 19th century, you had massive revival on the Korean Peninsula, and thousands upon thousands of Koreans gave their lives to Christ, which led itself to having Korea, not North Korea because unfortunately communism, but a lot of the North Koreans who were Christian, they fled North Korea and they settled in the South during the Korean War, which is the story of my grandfather. But South Korea, that's why South Korea started out largely as a Christian nation, like broadly speaking. Obviously in the beginning stages of South Korea, it was a dictatorship and it was a lot of the times tyrannical, which wasn't very good. But that being said, yes. Culturally, there's a lot of things I love about the Joseon Dynasty. As a Christian, yeah, I don't like that persecution part because they really persecuted Christians. But there was a Korean Christian, I forgot his name. I think Saint Andrew Peck, I think. I'm probably butchering that, but was canonized as the first Korean saint for his love for the church and for Christ and his faithfulness to not up until death, not ceding, not renouncing Christ. And so there's a lot of cool stuff in that. Yeah, Kiki. I mean, on Livian 2 is now following. Thanks for the follow. How are you? Happy Tuesday. This is why I love being Korean, where I can trace back my roots for thousands of years. I think most recently, like actually probably 500 years is the oldest I can trace back my ancestry, unless I should go back to Korea and talk to my grandparents maybe. But I love that about myself, which is why I never ever want to abandon that. I had someone on Twitter tell me when I said Happy Korean American Day, he was like, there's no such thing as a hyphenated American. Either you're American or you're not. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, my ethnic heritage is a huge part of my identity, and I'm not just gonna throw it out even in my national identification, because it's a huge part of who I am. I'm an immigrant to America, and I naturalized and I assimilated into becoming American. But I'm still Korean, man. I'm still Korean. And that's something I'll never let go of, and that's something that I will pass down to my children. And I pray and I hope that my children pass down to their children and their children's children, because it's such a rich history that we can really trace back for hundreds and thousands of years. A lot of Americans can't do that, right? Because a lot of them were European settlers, and in the past 100 years, they, married other ethnicities. That's why, a lot of white people today are like 2% Scottish and 5% English and 10% German and then 5% Swedish and all these different things. And so it's hard to really know where exactly you come from. It's hard to trace it, But for me as a Korean, my whole ancestry, we came from that small peninsula in East Asia, so I can trace it back, which is a beautiful thing in my opinion. Be vindicated. That's true. Honestly, Christians are the most persecuted people ever, which, this is what people need to get out of their bubble in America. Like, America is not everything, okay? Christians have historically been the most persecuted and still are today the most persecuted people in the whole world. This is a low estimate, over 300 million Christians around the world face intense levels of persecution daily, whether that be imprisonment, torture, death, just horrific things. 300 million. That's a lot of Christians, man. That's the population of the United States. There's a lot of Christians overseas experiencing that. No other people group or religious group has that many people historically, but also today, suffering that much. And people always say, oh, but the Crusades and, Western Europe was characterized by Christianity for so long. Yeah, but that was the exception. The world isn't Western Europe, okay? There's a whole world out there. There's tons of continents, okay? There's tons of continents. Not just Europe. There's North America, there's South America, there's Africa, there's Australia, and there's Asia. And then obviously there's Antarctica and Europe. But Europe, traditionally, because of with the roots that Constantine set up with the Roman Empire, right? He really laid out the framework for Christianity being the bedrock and foundation for Western Europe at the turn of the millennium, right? Which is awesome. But that's not everyone, okay? Once these missionaries started to go to other countries in Eastern Europe or in the Eastern Europe too, yeah, in the Middle East or Eastern Europe, Eastern Asia, South Asia, the Pacific Islands, they were brutally murdered, okay? They were brutally persecuted. And so even today, man, there's so many countries around the world. If you profess the name of Christ, you're going straight to jail or you die. And then all these Twitter weirdos are like, you can't be persecuted as a Christian. Get your persecution complex out of your head, you freaking weirdo. It's like, no, the facts are the facts, man. Get out of your bubble. America was unique because, yes, at its founding, it was a Christian nation because the settlers were Christian. So, but get out of your bubble. Get out of your bubble. Stop thinking so rigidly with your neo-Marxist framework of viewing the world of Christians being the oppressor, so therefore they could never be the victims of injustice or oppression. Like, get that out of your head, because that's just not true. And we see it even today. Christians are being persecuted for their beliefs. But get out of your bubble, man. There's a whole world out there. There are over 7 billion people in the world. America is a small percentage of that. 350 million people, okay? Meanwhile, there are billions of people out there, okay? Like, China alone has over a billion people. We know that Orthodox Christianity, not just like in China, Christianity is allowed, but state-sanctioned Christianity, right? Actual Christian teaching is not allowed in China. It is persecuted against, okay? So, all I'm saying is, yeah, exactly. So go claim you're Christian in Egypt, see how fast they change that tune. Just say you're Christian in the Middle East. I mean, it's scary, man. It's scary. It's not easy. So I'm so grateful to live in America, but all I'm saying, it's like Christians are the most persecuted. Christians have been the most persecuted around the world in the broad context of history. And hopefully it gets better, but I don't know if it'll get better anytime soon. But as Christians, we need to raise awareness, and we need to pray for our persecuted brothers and sisters. Yeah, I mean, it's almost promised, right? Like, you will face persecution from those who hate Christ and love the world. But, you know, Jesus said, take heart, for I have overcome the world. Hawk 6, so true. It's perfectly normal for men to want to honor their ancestors and keep their heritage alive. That being said, I'm not Confucian, right? So I'm not going to pray to my ancestors and do things like that. But I do honor my ancestors by going to the grave, right? Going to the grave of my grandfather who passed away before I was born. You know, going to the grave and honoring him in that way, remembering him and trying to remember his legacy, though I never knew him while I was alive. And trace back where I come from, being thankful for those who came before me, that I am here alive today, not by chance, but because of the faithful acts that these people understood that they had an obligation to pass down the gift of life. And I think it's a good thing. It's a great thing. And so that's something I want to pass down to my children as well. Champagne Future, Kongman rants are the best. Thank you. Oh my gosh, it's already over an hour. I'm supposed to be playing Sonic, but I've been ranting. Sorry, y'all. Sorry. Yeah, no, the Kiki, I agree. They can't even see. Here's the thing, though, that a lot of China simps are always like, no, they have churches running, they have pastors, and China, yeah, they do, but again, they're all state sanctioned, and the true gospel can't be really preached in China. And then so, but even overall, even when you say you're a Christian, it's hard in China. It's hard. Dragon Knight. My dad's side family are Roman Catholic and my mom's side family is Ukraine Orthodox. Interesting. Don't they get into arguments? It's so funny. I was in Orlando with some friends, and one of them was Orthodox and one of them was Catholic, and they were standing in line for donuts, and they had this huge theological debate about which is the one true church. Is it the Catholic Church or the Orthodox Church? And they were just going back and forth about, no, the Catholic Church broke off the Orthodox Church, and then the Orthodox Church broke off the Catholic Church. And overall, though, a lot of their beliefs are similar. It's just things about the papacy, about Mary, purgatory, things like that, are different. Yeah, Leia Rose, true. The churches mysteriously burned down, just like how here in the United States, oh, all these things are mysteriously burning down. Wow, all these factories are mysteriously burning down. Food processing plants are mysteriously burning down. All these animals, all these chickens are mysteriously dying. Wow, Ronks subscribed for 8 months. Let's go. Woo, woo, woo. Thank you so much. One of the OGs. Thank you so much, Ronks. Appreciate ya. But yeah, I mean, it's what I say with those examples. What I'm trying to say, it's like it's a lot of it. It's covert government operations and doings by the government, if not by the government, by people at least in bed with the government or nefarious actors in power. So, you know, they call us conspiracy theorists for saying, you know, big tech's in bed with the government. They're like, oh, you're such a conspiracy theorist. You're such a freaking persecution complex loving conspiracy theorist. And then it's like, well, the Twitter files show that literally Twitter was in regular contact with the FBI and the DHS to censor people. That the FBI and like DHS and federal agencies marked as harmful or misinformation purveyors. Oh, Ronks, it's okay. Go sleep. Sleep is more important than my stream. Be vindicated. Both were the original church until the Great Schism of... Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like... But... It's like... They had the Great Schism, but in terms of their theology, right? Like, it's like, what is the one true church? And what is the theology and what is the right catechism of the one true church? Is it the teachings of the Catholic Church today, or is it the teachings of the Orthodox Church? And that's what they really argue, right? Which is like who broke off? Like, whose theology caused the schism, right? Was it the beliefs of the Orthodox Church, or was it the beliefs of the Catholic Church? And that's really what they argue, right? Which is why they argue like we were the one true church. No, so true. Hawk 6, that's the thing. One of the first things the Ottomans did was convert churches to mosques, displace the identity of Orthodox Albanians. What the Ottomans did when they got control of Jerusalem is they built a mosque on top of the Temple Mount, right? On top of where we know to be the Temple of Solomon. So, that's what they do. And that's what people do when they conquer land, right? They build institutions and they mark their territory. I'm not gonna name names, but which groups in the United States mark their territory? With statues, with flags, with symbols, with stickers, right? With literal architecture, right? Buildings that are inspired by their ideology, classrooms, like which groups in the United States see that? Or which groups in the United States do you see doing that? And that is the group that is gaining ground on a religious front, okay? These things are religious. There's no such thing as irreligious, okay? Everyone is religious. All men are spiritually inclined. We're all religious, okay? It's just a matter of what we worship and what worldview we ascribe to. So, I'm just saying, man, like, for example, flags are a huge thing. What are flags always an indicator of, okay? It's always an indicator that this is your territory. You fly a flag when you conquer the land of your enemy, okay? What flags does the United States fly in the military? What flags are military men holding? What flags do we fly in the US embassies around the world? What flag is the White House flying? You might say the American flag. Yeah, sometimes. But mostly, what are they flying? Interesting, right? Interesting. All I'm saying, these people call themselves oppressed all day when they have literal flags marking their territory, shouting to all of our faces that they have conquered these institutions and conquered this land, okay? So I don't want to hear it. I really don't want to hear the whole oppression thing, okay? No, you're not, okay? You're really not. You're not. Wake up. Goodness gracious. Oh, man. It's so bonkers to me. Like, they're just so, like, they live in an alternative reality where they, like, put a boot. I don't know if you guys see that meme, that boot to their face, and they're like, well, I'm so oppressed. Like, you fly if you fly a politically incorrect flag, you're done. You're done. Your career is done. Your public persona, you're done, right? You're canceled for life. Oh, but you fly these flags. You have institutions, you have government agencies, you have academia, all these college campuses, high schools, elementary schools. You have public libraries. You have cafes. You have celebrities. You have everyone flying your flag, all right? The flag is everywhere, and the flag changes because there's always new things that are added to it. But it's everywhere. You can't escape it if you live in modern American life, okay? Unless you go to the middle of nowhere. You're gonna see it in every city. You're gonna see it in government institutions and government buildings, okay? You're gonna see it in the White House, in our very capital. You see it everywhere. You see it in the U.S. embassies abroad, okay? You see it with our military men walking with those flags. And there's more than one flag because they have a flag for every single thing on the bob that's added, right? All I'm saying, mega corporations are flying it. Government agencies, administrative state, politicians are flying it. Celebrities are flying it. Flags symbolize the territory of a group/nation. When the Crusades were happening, what flag did the Crusaders fly, right? When the Ottomans were conquering land, what flag did they fly? When in World War II, America advanced and made ground against the Nazis in Western Europe, also in parts of Eastern Europe, what flag did they fly? The flag of the people who won the battle and conquered the land, okay? Just saying. That's my rant. It's just mind-blowing to me how these people still yell about how they're so oppressed by Christo-fascists or stochastic terrorists or all these weird new things that they're coming up every other week. Oh my gosh. Oh, so true, Arkin245. Everyone loves democracy until someone says something they don't like. Just ask the Athenians with Socrates. This is why Socrates hated democracy. They killed him. Democracy is mob rule, all right? That's why I don't like democracy. Oh my gosh, he's a fascist. No, I'm not a fascist. I just don't think democracy is a great form of governance, okay? And our federal system in this country was designed so that we wouldn't have a pure democracy. We are a constitutional republic with democratic systems where the people can voice their opinions. And a lot of the power does belong to the people, right? But it's a constitutional republic where we have representatives who we elect into public office to represent us and make decisions for us. We also have a blend of like a monarchy with a strong executive branch, right? It's the founding fathers are great with combining the best of each political system into the constitutional republic that we have today. Which is why people were like, oh, the electoral college is so outdated, so stupid. No, I don't want bozos in Portland and like San Francisco. People were pooping on the streets deciding national level politics for me, all right? Like, I'm in Atlanta, like, leave me alone. Anyways, rant over. I talked too much. I'm sorry. I was supposed to play Sonic like an hour ago. I promised myself before I got on stream I wouldn't rant. But here I am. Oh, so true. There's that Hawk6. There's that Twitter account. It's called like, did they die for this? And it's like young men in World War II. They lied about their age because they had such a desire to defend their country, defend the ideals of freedom, and not freedom to just be an idiot, but like and pursue, well, commit evil and pursue your sin, but freedom to protect your family, freedom, right, to do the right thing and pursue the good. And nowadays people give up and look for ways to make themselves as weak as possible. So true, but it's just like not even 100 years ago, man, 60 years ago, if you told people like all the stuff that's happening in mainstream American culture would happen, they'd be like, I'm not dying for this. I'm not putting myself on the line for this. I'm not gonna get my like leg blown off and lose an eye, or have my best friend die in battle, or even me sacrifice my life so that I can defend a country that's gonna completely crap on the ideals this country stands for in the first place. It's sad. The state of our country is sad. But the thing is, it's not a unique American problem, okay? You see this a lot in Europe, but also you see the encroachment of these insane ideologies creeping into Korea as well. So every modernized country with the problems of modernity is gonna have, because the problems of modernity is the medium for these infectious ideologies to take root and grow and rapidly spread like a wildfire. Which is why I'm a traditionalist. I believe, again, like holding on to the traditions of the past and the wisdom of the past, but also moving towards the future, right? Like I have a mic, I have lights, I have a computer, I'm streaming right now. But we should never abandon the wisdom and the traditions of those who came before us. Because tradition is a set of solutions for problems we don't understand. Tradition is a set of solutions for problems that we haven't experienced, or we don't understand, or we forgot about, okay? There's a reason why tradition exists. And don't tear it down, okay? Arkin245, Plato, would you feel safe if the people selected your doctor for you? By no means no. By no means we search for the most qualified. So true, hence the failure of democracy. Yeah. You think I want Fauci? You think I want Fauci in being my doctor? Just because all these people in mass media and the public perception all says that he is the expert of all things medically related and virology? Get that out of here. Epidemiology? Get that out of here. Nah. He ain't even that qualified. His failure during the HIVs and AIDS epidemic should have disqualified him from public office and public health many years ago. You don't want Canada where Toronto, Quebec decide for Canada. Exactly. Arkin245, you talk the right amount. We like it. Really? I talk a little too much. This is why I think I'm good at streaming. I love talking about what I think. Champagne Future. My granddad lied about his age to get into the army. I wish he hadn't. That's crazy. Masculinity, man. We gotta reclaim it. Actually, I beat the pinball game, Arkin, so I won't be playing more pinball when I play Sonic. That's true, though. What Arkin said, Champagne Future, your grandpa was a great man. Leia Rose, the dog thing sent you over the edge? The abortion thing sent me over the edge. You guys know what Fauci did, right? He funded research at the University of Pittsburgh where they took aborted fetuses as old as 42 weeks old and scalped their scalps onto the scalps of lab rats, okay? They literally made these lab rat fusion human hybrid chimera type crap things. And Dr. Fauci funded that research where they took babies and they brutally scalped them and attached their scalps onto lab rats. That put me over the edge, okay? On top of the lies and the deception and the lustfulness and the gluttony and the power-hungry technocratic plutocrat he was becoming. That story put me over the edge. Not the dog one. The dog one was pretty sad and it was awful. But the abortion story, that put me over the edge. Yeah, Leah Rose, you can look it up. You can look it up. David Daleiden did a expose on this. And I just... That put me over the edge. I'm like, this guy needs to be in prison. On top of that, he lied under penalty of perjury in front of Congress. He should be at least on trial right now. But no, of course, the powerful protect the powerful, which is why we still don't know who's on Epstein's client list. I don't know if that's going to get me banned on Twitch. I hope not. Don't ban me, Twitch. But one of the most consequential and important trials in history, the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. One of the most important trials in American history. They were trafficking children, okay, for powerful and wealthy elites who regularly visited and frequented their island. The case was not televised. Those tracking and giving updates on the case on Twitter were banned. And we still don't know who was on the client list, but we know the FBI has the client list. So I don't want to hear a single thing about these bureaucrats, these crony corrupt bureaucrats who hate the American people and hate especially our children. I don't want to hear a thing from these people about what is the right thing to do. Do your part. Get that crap out of here. I don't care. It's dead to me. Whatever you think. Your moral posturing and your moral cues are dead to me, all right? I'm not the one out here trafficking children and protecting the elites who did that. And I'm not the one here protecting a man, shielding a man who literally grafted the scalps of aborted fetuses aborted babies as old as 42 weeks old onto lab rats. What a disgrace. How inhumane and cruel. What a disgrace. What a disgrace to this country. 100 years ago, those like Champagne Future's grandpa who fought for this country would be disgusted, absolutely disgusted about who's leading our country and what kind of country our country has turned into. It's disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And the fact that so many people turn a blind eye, don't even care, and almost sometimes even champion it, disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Dude, Hawk 6, so true. Socialists will insist the rich conspire to keep the poor down. They always say that, right? They always say it's a white supremacist thing about blah, 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 of rich white people, blah, 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 blah. But the moment you mention any act of this, yeah, maybe, actually, you're right. Yeah, there is some sort of collusion between very powerful people in this country that are hurting the American people. They're like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Make up your mind. Make up your mind. I was the funniest thing. They were like, ACAB during 2020. ACAB. We hate police and law enforcement. They're all bad. They're all white supremacist government actors, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, Fauci might be lying. The CDC might be like, oh, no, you're a conspiracy theorist. You freaking fraud, anti-vax, anti-mask conspiracy theorist, googly glob. What? What? So you think there is a white supremacist cabal keeping down minorities and keeping them poor and in a cycle of crime in our cities, and you think that the police are agents of the state that exist to perpetuate that cycle, that white supremacy, but yet when we suggest maybe big pharma, big food, big governments are all in bed together, hurting the American people, getting people addicted to drugs and medication, when honestly we should just be banning chemicals, banning preservatives, banning seed oils, and we should be having Americans be healthy, exercise, eat right. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. What? What? You kidding me? You kidding me? Yeah. Which is why, like, I don't say this lightly, but it's a cult, right? There's that meme of, like, I support the current thing, and they're just NPCs and get the newest downloaded update, right? I mean, it's the same thing with nationalism, right? They love Ukraine nationalism. They love Ukraine's right to their independence and their right to sovereignly rule over themselves after Russia invaded. And they care so much about the Russia-Ukrainian border. Yeezy14! Or YZ14? I don't know. Thank you for the sub so much. Wow, thank you. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. How are you? But what I'm saying is, what was I saying? Frig, I lost my train of thought thinking YZ. Shoot, what was I saying? Oh, it's a cult. It's a cult. And then so they care about the Russian-Ukrainian border. They care about Ukraine sovereignty and nationalism. But the moment you start to mention that in the American context, you're a freaking bigot, white supremacist. What? The moment you care about the border, the southern border especially, they're like, oh, you hate Mexicans. When you care about American nationalism, where you care about the needs of the American people first, suddenly you're a white supremacist. And you hate people. You're xenophobic. So stupid. And then now there's like the new talking point about gas stoves. Like it was so fascinating to me to see all the Democrat operatives and the liberal pundits and the people who say the same talking points over and over again. They just suddenly shifted gears. Suddenly, out of nowhere, no one was ever talking about this. No one ever said this. This wasn't mainstream at all. Suddenly, all of a sudden, in a few days, everyone was saying gas stoves are harmful for the environment. It's harmful for children. It's harmful for breathing. Blah, 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 blah. This is a huge thing for climate change. It's like, no one was saying this. Which is why you know it's all manufactured. It's all coordinated. And they're in a cult. They just say that they get the talking points and they say the talking points. They're in a cult. They have no ability for independent, rational thought. Like I told you guys, like literally I have trolls who I try to engage with. I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. And they just racist. I'm like, oh my gosh. Really? Like really? You're an adult human being? Really? Anyways. No, Kiki, so true. I just want to protect the country that I live in, okay? I love this country. I hate what it's becoming, but I still love this country. This is why I'm still here. This is why I haven't moved to Korea. Kongmin, do you remember this? What is that link? In my honest opinion... Sorry, it's really slow. Sinclair's Trump bias is dangerous to our democracy. Oh, wait. This one? Let me watch real quick.
Month, dozens of local news anchors around the country spoke in unison.
Oh, this is a good one. This shows you. It's not a conspiracy. Like, they literally get the same talking points about politics, and they just say it on cable news.
To defend their stations and blast the so-called fake news media.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming.
Like, isn't that so creepy? It's so creepy. Like, I think references to 1984 are so overused, but if anything's 1984, this is 1984.
Some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Like, when did that become a thing? Like, no one was ever saying this. Like, this is extremely dangerous to our democracy until, like, the past couple of years.
But it wasn't their
after
choice
Trump went
to
into
make
office.
those statements, which sound like they're coming straight from the president's Twitter feed. And the president has their back. Tweeting this morning, the fakers at CNN, NBC, ABC, and CBS shouldn't be worried about the quality of Sinclair's reporting. But these are not anchors at Trump TV, at least not officially. These are all affiliates of Sinclair Broadcast Group. And while you likely have never heard of them, they own or operate more TV stations than any broadcaster in the U.S. And by the way, that includes NBC 10 in Providence, Rhode Island.
Also, yeah, it's I don't know why it's a conspiracy theory to know that there's a few corporations and conglomerates that own like the majority. I think almost all television stations and news outlets are owned by like 5 companies or something. It's like crazy how consolidated it all is. And suddenly it's a conspiracy theory. Somehow it's a conspiracy theory that they don't all get the same talking points from one person.
And they could own even more if the Federal Communications Commission approves their bid to buy Tribune Media.
The FCC is useless.
That fake news
They should be breaking up.
diatribe is just one of the outlet's many must-read or must-run commentaries and segments, all Trump-friendly and all mandatory for Sinclair stations. John Oliver pointed out one of these segments last summer. This is from Sinclair commentator Mark Hyman.
You, the social justice warrior who whines for trigger warnings and safe spaces, not grown up enough to deal with the facts, then hunker down in your room and Snapchat the day away with other social justice warriors. College isn't a babysitting service. It's time to grow up, snowflake.
They're essentially angry, unhinged Twitter rants broadcast to millions of...
Yeah, I think that's it for that one. But yeah, it's creepy, like how in unison, like there's a longer clip of that on Twitter somehow. But yeah, like they all do say the same thing. It's like there's a reason why certain phrases become so popularized by the cult that I'm talking about. Yeah, here's the thing, Arkin, like regulation, I'm a huge favor of regulation, like not regulating small businesses, but regulating like huge monopolies. I love antitrust laws. I love it. No corporations have that much power. That being said, especially because our government's so compromised now, it's regulatory bodies are so useless. Like I don't hate the FDA. I think the existence of the FDA is good. Before the FDA, people could just sell you anything like snake oil, right? And claim that it'll cure you from heart disease or something. And they had no regulatory body to confirm that nor deny it. But when you don't have moral people who are led by God, which is why, again, you know, the Constitution was made for moral religious people. Like, without Christianity, this country dies. But if you don't have moral people in office and in these regulatory bodies, then it completely falls apart. Like, our whole system is predicated on the fact that we have moral and religious people. And if you don't feel like you have a duty to God and duty to others and duty to nation, then you're gonna just do whatever's most profitable to you, which means to be deceitful, to lie, cheat, and steal, which is why the FDA is completely useless now. Well, not completely useless, but a lot of it's so corrupt. Which is why, again, you know, people like are so surprised when I say this, but I'm not against the monarchy, because it's funny, you know, Slick Rick mentioned To Your Eternity earlier today, but a very huge theme about To Your Eternity in a lot of these kingdoms, in the royal family, you see it's this ideal of understanding that the king has a lot of responsibility, and only one who cares about the people more than they care about himself, more than he cares about himself, is worthy to be king. And obviously we had terrible kings throughout history, that's true. But for a lot of kings in history, the royal family was designed so that the king, the successor to the king, would be taught in their childhood, in their young adult life, virtue, so that you put the needs of the people first. And so, in that kind of system, if you had a king who loved the people, it would thrive. It would thrive, but obviously the risk is really huge. The risk is that, well, if you have a bad king that takes power, then your country completely dissolves, and a lot of people suffer. And so is that trade-off worth it? I don't know. I think it's worth exploring. I don't think it's completely not worth it because clearly the founding fathers thought there was some merit to it because of our strong executive branch that resembles bits of a monarchy. But that's the trade-off. And so what I'm saying about regulatory bodies is like, for example, when you had Teddy Roosevelt, who really went after monopolies, and he set up a lot of the conservation laws that we have, which is amazing. He was a moral person who really cared about the people and his country. And so good governance works in that way. That's why you have a lot of libertarians and anarcho-capitalist types who are like, no, all government's always bad. It's like, no, we've seen it work well in history, okay? But it's all predicated on your religion, okay? Because your religion informs your morality and your worldview. And if that's not Christianity and proper catechized Christianity, then every political system falls apart. Okay? It's a matter of what's the best political system and how do we sustain that by having Christian leaders represent us. That is the most important thing. Or at least moral and virtuous leaders represent us or lead our country. Kiki, look up People Power Philippines 1986. The people were so sick and tired of the president who was in office, and everyone shut down for the day and stormed the office to get the president out of office, literally. So true. Be vindicated. Monarchy is not intrinsically tyrannical. There are benevolent kings and queens that we've seen in the past. I can't really think of a nation that has like an actual monarchy today because democracy and, modernization and blah, blah, blah. But you can have a tyrannical government. You can have mob tyranny, for example, in pure democracy, right? You can have what we have right now, like a technocratic kind of like pseudo-fascist regime right now, which is it's not I wouldn't call it tyranny, but I would call it increasingly tyrannical. And we're not a monarchy, right? We're a constitutional republic. Tyranny can manifest honestly in any political system. Like communism always lends itself to tyranny because that's really the default of the way it's set up. And it's also anti-God. But it's just because it is monarchy doesn't mean it's intrinsically tyrannical. I think it's a fair assumption and fair argument to say that the risk for tyranny is much higher with monarchies, for sure. But I would honestly say although the risk is higher, also the pros, or I guess, I wouldn't say the pros outweigh the cons, but what's the word? Not the risk, but the probability, I guess, of good being enacted through political power is much higher with monarchies as well. So there's the trade-off. And clearly our founding fathers thought the trade-off wasn't worth it to have a monarchy in our country. That's why we fought a revolutionary war to break off from monarchy. But they still have elements of the monarchy in our federal system, and I think to completely dismiss it without considering its merits, I think it's unfounded and naive and immature, in my opinion. Yeah, exactly. Like you can call someone a president, like Xi Jinping, but he's a dictator. He's a tyrannical dictator. He's a president, and they have a People's Republic of China. The people don't have the power in China. You kidding me? No, that's true. Be vindicated. Having one tyrant versus multiple tyrants isn't that much different. I would honestly say a tyrannical oligarchy is actually worse because it's a bunch of people, right? Like we often think if we get the president out of office, we'll be good. But that's not true, because the president doesn't hold that much power. A lot of the power actually lies with these 3-letter agencies that have people who've been working there for decades, and the president doesn't have the power to fire all of them. I think he should. I think someone should come into office and fire everyone, okay? Just start new. I think they should. I don't believe in tearing down the system, right? I'm not a freaking crazy leftist. And I'm not like a revolutionary by any means, but at the same time, I think we need a new slate. We need a new slate. So, yeah. But then, like, if you have an oligarchy, right? If you have all these different people and different powers in government pulling the strings, like, for example, Biden is not pulling the strings. Someone else, but multiple people probably are pulling the strings in government today. Who is it? I don't know. That's why oligarchy is almost worse, because at least with the tyrant, you know who's in power, and if not the kings, at least their like advisor is wrong, and you can just get rid of the advisor. It's usually one person or very few people that are the problem. With an oligarchy, it can be a vast majority of people with a very tightly connected yet almost cryptic network of people in power. Oh, well, those are just my thoughts. Champagne Future, I actually don't agree with term limits. Here's the thing. The reason why I don't agree with term limits is because, like, I want someone like... Who's a congressman that I like? Who I, like, actually like? It's really hard. Like, the list gets shorter every day. And smaller every day. Well, let's say there's, like, a really good congressman, right? Well, I would want him in office for... Until he's, like, too old to, like, fulfill his duties in office. You know, term limits wasn't actually a thing at the founding of our country. It became a thing after FDR, but it actually wasn't a thing. So even our founding fathers, who are great proponents of liberty and power to the people, they didn't even set up term limits. Like, obviously you have to run again, you have to be re-elected for office, but you can be as elected as many times as you want. And I think that's not a bad thing if we have someone who serves the interests of the American people and shares our values. I don't think it's a bad thing to have them in office for many, 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 many years, right? Like, if we had like deeply like an amazing man of God who feared God and was unyielding to a lot of these crazy ideologies and the trolls, like, I would want him in office for a really long time. A wise, a courageous, a charismatic man of God. I would want him to be in office for many, many, many years. You know how great how much better our country would get? Now, again, that's what I'm saying. It's like, obviously there is a risk with that. There's a big risk with that because you get the Nancy Pelosi's, right? Yeah, Arkin, that's true. I think that was one of the worst things to happen, like, for people to vote on senators, because it gave more power to, like, it made us more into, like, a mob rule type of democracy. But there again, what I'm saying, there is a risk without having term limits, and politics is all about trade-offs. And is that trade-off worth it? I don't think it's worth it. I would honestly not have term limits and have the capability and ability to elect people into public office who share my values and are strong and are unafraid to wield political power to serve the interests of the American people and crush evil. You know, when I say crush evil, people get so scared, like, oh my God! No, when I say crush evil, I mean things like, you know, outlaw porn and outlaw abortion and outlaw, you know, grooming children and things like that, right? But I would want someone like that in office for a very long time. So I I used to be like, yeah, term limits are great, but I've thought about it, and I'm like, you know, I actually don't think the pros of term limits outweigh the cons, and I think not having term limits, I think the benefits could far outweigh the risks that come with it. Arkin 245. No, that's true. No, I agree. They weren't super powered to the people as much as you think. Founders feared the people as much as tyrants because they read Socrates and Plato, and Aristotle. They read Greek philosophers. They read up on history for all the political systems. They saw how the mob the mob is very scary because, again, government only exists by the trust of the people. Okay? It only exists by the trust of people, even more so today in our increasingly digitized informational age. Like, just because you wave a flag and you, like, enter the Capitol building, no one's gonna think that you're, like, the new leader of this country, okay? You can have a whole, like, almost, like, revolt or revolution in D.C., and if the people don't think you're legitimate, you're not gonna be legitimate. And so there's the people hold a lot of power. And then so that power can be wielded very, very terribly. And especially because I think we all know this and we've been seeing this increasingly, but most people aren't politically inclined, nor can they think rationally and deeply about complex political issues. But if we give all the power to people who don't even know the three branches of government, which is why I think there should be a voter test, but if we give the power to these people who don't even understand the basics and fundamentals of politics, then we're screwed. We're screwed. We devolve into something worse than like the worst outcomes of anarchy, okay? But Kiki, that's a really interesting question. If you can add an amendment, what would you propose? What would I propose if I could add an amendment? Oh, man. What? Add an amendment. That's a good... It's only one amendment? Maybe, like, repeal a bunch of amendments. There are some bad amendments in American history. For example, like, giving everyone the right to vote. And then people call me misogynist for that. I'm like, no, like, I'm not talking about, like, just because... Like I'm not saying like, because there are a lot of women, especially in today's context, where, okay, here's the thing, like giving women the right to vote actually did dissolve the family in much more terrible ways than you would think. And obviously you're not allowed to say that today because the moment you do, you're a misogynist. But even aside from that, right, there are, especially today in our increasingly beta soy boy culture, there are so many women that I trust to vote correctly than a lot of men in my life, and a lot of men that I see on the internet and see on those man on the street videos and things like that. So more so than just women getting the right to vote, the problem with the 19th Amendment was giving everyone the right to vote. And you didn't need any stake in the future of this country. You didn't need to contribute more to the system than you take from the system. You didn't have to have any sort of qualifications to vote. As long as you were 18, you could vote. And that was a huge problem because now you have so many illiterate buffoons. I'm sorry, that might sound mean, but honestly, very politically illiterate, almost even actually illiterate buffoons who are voting. Just because Cardi B is set to vote for this one person. Like, what? No, don't vote. Please don't vote. It's not a sin to be ignorant, but it's completely catastrophic to our country if people who don't understand anything about politics has political power. Like, no. So, anyways, back to the original question. What amendment would I propose? I mean, probably maybe like making me king of this country. That'd be my amendment. An amendment nulling all the other amendments and nulling the Constitution, making me king. And we're gonna have a United States of Gangmin. I'm gonna rename the country United States of Gangmin. I'm gonna be king. You guys watch me. I'm gonna be the best king in history. The history books are gonna remember me. King Kongmin. King Man. That's gonna be my nickname. King Kongmin. And I'll make this place great. You just watch. You haters, you just watch. You don't think a benevolent monarchy with me in charge would work? You just watch. United Kongmins of America? Yo, low-key based. What? Alicia said don't vote for me. Wow. Wow. You know, I would as king, I would make it so that all men can't dress as slobs in public. I would also make it so that everyone learns Korean in school. Screw Spanish. I think most people learn Spanish for the secondary language in school here. We're gonna make Korean the main secondary language that people will learn here. Actually, no, we're gonna make Korean the main language here and make English the secondary language. Let's go! Would it be like to be emperor? I guess I'll be emperor then. I'll be emperor. I'll be Emperor Kongmin, and then all these states could be like little mini nations. So I'll be an empire. The United Empire of Kongmin. Yes! And I shall be forever benevolent emperor of the United Nations of Kongmin. The United Empire. No, the United Empire of Kongmin. And I'll be the emperor. And I shall rule with an iron fist, but with a benevolent heart. For the will of the people shall be in my best interest, of course. But also, I shall rule wisely and justly, and with grace, and with compassion, and with mercy, and with love. The same love that Christ showed us on the cross. And I'll be the greatest emperor to have ever lived. I just want a bigger South Korea. No, then I'd have to like kick out everyone who's not Korean, and then we won't have a country. That's essentially what we already are. I'm sorry, folks. The power's gone to his head. What have we done? I don't have any power. But if I had power, if I had one amendment that I could propose, no, all the other amendments and the Constitution and our system of government, we're gonna make an empire. Yeah, I'm like Emperor Palpatine. Do it. Do it. Can't be better than Cusco. That's funny. Cusco. King Kongmin. See, that's the thing. That's just... Oh, yes. Hawk 6. Hawk 6, I'm going to make you my right-hand advisor when I become emperor, okay? Mandatory exercise. Yes, absolutely. That's going to be the law of the land. If you don't work in manual labor, you got to exercise. At least, I'm going to say 3 to 4 times a week. You got to exercise. Some sort of exercise. Some form of exercise. You gotta run, you gotta lift weights, you gotta play sports, you gotta do something. I don't like a fat, lazy, unhealthy, unfit populace, okay? The United Empire of Kongmin would be the best looking, best in shape, most fit, most healthy people in all the world. Put money on that. I'm gonna put Hawk 6. Hawk 6 is gonna be my right-hand advisor. All you, everyone else in the chat, y'all hating, Hawk 6 is gonna be my right-hand advisor. Dragon Knight. I am the Senate. I've become the Senate. The Senate disagrees. I am the Senate. Oh, that's funny. Arkin. Augustus never called himself emperor. He essentially called himself best citizen. Alicia, this isn't freedom anymore. Well, like again, your definition of freedom matters, right? And so, is it really an infringement on your freedom to have you say take care of your body, to like mandate that citizens take care of their body? I don't think so. In the same way, it's like mandated that children get an education in this country. Like, it's mandated, right? Is that an infringement on our rights? I don't think so. Is that an infringement on our freedoms? No, I think every child should be educated, whether in the home or in school. That being said, I've become increasingly an opponent, not a proponent, but an opponent of public school. I love the existence of higher learning and higher education for sure, and college institutions, because they were founded on great values with great missions. But mandating that people do what's best for them, I don't think it's an infringement on freedom. I think it's actually great. I think it can be done well. Like 3 to 4 times a week is not even like that bad, right? I don't think it's that bad. Like, you could do 30-minute sessions of like running on a treadmill. Or then again, like that begs the question, like, how are you gonna track that? That's like a huge, that's very invasive. And I wouldn't want anyone like tracking how many miles I ran, or if my heartbeat was high enough to be considered exercising. But I think I would mandate it, but like locally. So I would allow local jurisdictions to, for their localities and their towns and their cities, decide for themselves, because every town is different, right? Every city is different. And then so decide for themselves how they're going to enforce it. So I'll be a benevolent dictator. I'll give them freedom. I'll give the people what they want. Allow them to figure out for themselves how to best exercise. So they can, like, you know, do like a weekly town exercise thing where people come out and they like exercise together and they do, I don't know, Zumba or whatever, but yeah. Hawk 6 also, but that's the thing. It's like, I'm not even trying to like impose my own thoughts and beliefs into this, but yeah, like working out makes you more right wing because exercise in sports intrinsically is right wing. Competition, hierarchy. There are no just participation trophies. I mean, there used to not be, but there are winners and there are losers. There are people who are better than you, who are faster than you, who are stronger than you. There's a hierarchy. There's an order, right? There's authority, right? I'm a coach. I'm a volleyball coach. And so when I say something, the players listen to me. Oh, that's tyrannical. No, it's not. It's just authority, and healthy authority is good. And you have that authority in coaches. If you have a team captain who rallies the team together, that captain has the authority. So you have authority, you have hierarchy, you have hard work, which is somehow become a right-wing thing, but it is right-wing in its essence because you are working hard. You're not lying, cheating, or stealing. You are abiding by the rules, which is also a right-wing belief, to abide by the rules, and especially good rules, but abide by the rules, which is why as Christians, you know, we're intrinsically right-wing because we abide by the rules that God has set for us, his law, right? The moral code, righteousness, what is good, true, and beautiful. We pursue that because that is the rule. Those are the rules that God has given to us. And so we abide by those rules. And so all these components, right? And also bettering yourself, improving yourself, becoming a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday, becoming stronger, faster, more mentally focused, right? Having strong mental fortitude. All these things are right wing. These are not remotely left wing at all. And so that is why not only working out makes you more right-wing and traditional, because you know the benefits of it, right? You feel the benefits, you see the benefits, and so you start to really appreciate it, and then you start to understand, oh, well, I was a better version of myself than yesterday, and then I've become stronger than this person, I've become faster than this person, I've become more athletic, I've become more better in shape, and there is intrinsic hierarchy in all things, and especially there is objective beauty. So I'm sorry, and I don't mean to offend anyone, but obesity is not beautiful. It is not beautiful. And that is the reality. And then so if you want to better yourself, you get in shape, you lose weight, and you look good, right? And when you look good, you feel good, and which is why when you do work out, it's just like, it's almost like common sense. Those who work out are right wing. Like I have there's someone, an Asian YouTuber who I won't mention, but he is a huge, like I watched him a lot growing up. He was one of my favorites. He's so funny, and he works out. His whole thing is that he's buff and he works out. He owns a gym and he owns a lot of these things, and he follows me. Like he follows my political stuff, and he's conservative. There's a reason. While all the other Asian YouTubers became super left wing, he's conservative. There's a reason why. It's because he works out. He works out. He's a bodybuilder. He owns a gym. He owns a business, okay? He owns a business. He works out. He's married. He has children or a child. He's a family man. And all these things contribute to you, your worldview. Your lifestyle literally is not only an outpouring of your worldview, but also informs your worldview. So, anyways. Oh, Pant Shader. Is pineapple on pizza blasphemy? No, it is literally orthodox doctrine, okay? It is sound doctrine. Pineapple on pizza is the only way to eat pizza. Arkin245. Let's see. Where's the message? Oh. Did you know that Japan has a fat tax? Men have to have a waist of 90 centimeters and women have to have a waist of 80 centimeters or you get taxed. Awesome! Based! That's so cool. Like I would be generous. If I implemented a fat tax, I would be very generous. 90 centimeters, what is that in inches? 90 centimeters to inches. Oh, that is so generous. A waist of 35 for men? That is so generous. You can be pretty overweight. Cause at my fattest, I had a waist of 32 or 33. I think I'm like 31 right now, or 30. At my fittest, I was like 30, 29. But 35 is so generous. 35 is so generous. So 90 centimeters and having a tax, yeah, I would do something like that. Because, you know, and of course I make exceptions for those who have medical conditions. Okay, you know, I'm not a dictator. I'm not a tyrant. But yeah, that sounds awesome. We should do that here in America. Why don't we do that in America? Being obese and gluttonous is not freedom, okay? That's not freedom. That's slavery to your literally gut, like gluttony. It's slavery, and you are in much worse shape if you are like very, very morbidly obese in this country versus if you had a law, like for example, if you had a fat tax and made it so that you pay more to the government if you're morbidly obese, which motivates you. At least that could be a motivating factor in order to hit the gym and eat well. But that's great. That's a great idea. Thanks for mentioning that, Arkin. We should implement that. You know what? That will be my amendment. Kiki, you asked for what amendment? I will put a fat tax. That's pretty. I don't know what like waist sizes for women are like, because you know women just naturally have wider hips than men, right? So I don't know exactly what that would look like and what is a good waist size, but at least for men, 35 inches, that is totally fine. Like you can be pretty overweight and still not have to pay that tax. Then should people be forced to take medical treatments? No, of course not. People consider, but that's why so many of these people, a lot of these woke people come from dysfunctional families. Because a lot of the times they come from broken families because they saw the authority of their parents abused. And so they hate authority, right? A lot of them hate authority. But the problem with people is that we can't escape authority. It's in our nature. Like you saw how much authority they gave to Fauci, or how much authority they gave to the CDC, how much authority they give to these news outlets or their favorite pundits. Like you can't escape it. It's in our nature to listen to and obey those whom we respect, those whom have earned our respect and admiration. It's in our nature. So you can't escape authority. The matter is whether or not that authority is benevolent and good and right and just. And that's the thing. That's the question. Beauty is rooted in the goodness of things and why evil and privations can't be beautiful. True. So true. Off topic, but how tall are you? A waist of 29 is insane. Is it? No, it's not. Is it really? I guess I don't really have thin hips though. But I'm gonna get a 6-pack later this year, y'all. So I'll probably have a waist of 29 or 28. But I would always wear a waist of 30 in high school. I'm 5'8" and a half, 5'9". And I know the taller you are, the wider like your hips become, because that's just natural. Like you can't just grow vertically and not grow a little horizontally in terms of your bone structure to support all of that excess weight on top. But I think even for people who are like 6 feet or over 6 feet, they have waists of like 30, 31. Yeah, Olivian, men have a thing called android hip. It's in the bone structure. It's naturally thinner. Yeah, like again, and that's why it's attractive that men have a V shape with their broad shoulders, and then women have more of an hourglass body, because that's just also in our bone structure. Like archaeologists can excavate bones from humans from like 2,000 years ago and know if it was a female or male just by looking at the pelvic bone. Okay, like it's in our structure. It's in our DNA. Which is why the whole, like, you can't tell gender is a sign that's not observed. It's like, no, it's absolutely observed. But, you know, it's like, you know, that's an interesting question, because Dallas says, should people be forced to take medical treatments? In general, no. As a general rule, no. But here's the thing. If you're going to talk about extreme hypotheticals, you know, there's a lot of Korean zombie apocalypse. That's a very common popular genre right now in Korean entertainment and cinema. But if we had a zombie apocalypse and we had the cure for it, if I was the leader of a country, I would 100% mandate it, that people take it. And is that forcing someone to take a medical treatment? In its essence, yes, it is. But I care about not only the survival of every individual, but the survival of my species and my nation. And so this is why, like, a lot of the times when it comes to political beliefs, like, people need to understand, like, there are exceptions. And because there are exceptions to a lot of the rigid political beliefs people hold, it's a matter of prudence. And we need to have prudence and wisdom when it comes to navigating politics. And so many times people think that, for example, this one political philosophy and this political belief, which may not even be grounded in scripture, because they think it's the most practical, is wisdom. And is the prudent and the wisest belief to have about politics. But that's not necessarily true, because I just gave the hypothetical. If there's a zombie apocalypse and there's medication that would cure someone from that disease, that zombie disease, and also make them not infectious, so they can't get the disease, also can't spread it, which was supposed to be what the vaccine was, but you know, it wasn't really that. I would mandate it. If I was a leader of a country, I would 100% mandate it, which is why also you see in a lot of these dramas and movies, when there's a zombie apocalypse, they always go under martial law. And in general, again, I'm against martial law, but in that situation, it's very appropriate. And so, in the same, you know, you can apply this to a lot of different scenarios. And so, I think that's where, again, that's why every single political system completely dissolves and doesn't work and cannot be sustained without the word of God, without the Christian ethic, without the Christian worldview. Because there will always be scenarios that call for prudence and good judgment, sound judgment, discernment, and wisdom. The Lord is the beginning of all wisdom. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom and understanding, okay? If you don't have that, you cannot rule a nation justly, or you cannot expect a nation to sustain itself because you don't have that wisdom. And even when crises like that come, you won't be able to navigate them well. So that was a good question, Dallas. And that's why, I can't say these things on Twitter, because I hate the word nuance because it's been so bastardized. But there's a lot of nuance when it comes to these conversations. And so that's why another reason why I don't really comment as much on politics anymore on Twitter, because it's like you can't really go in depth about what you believe about certain issues and the positions that you hold and the beliefs that you have. I mean, again, like I said, I was against the vaccine mandates because it was oppressive. I felt like it was unnecessary, and they lied to our faces and deceived us every single day on live television and on social media. And the risks far outweighed the benefits, or any potential benefits. And I just thought it was so cruel to mandate an experimental thing that hasn't even gone through robust long-term clinical testing to people when it doesn't even prevent transmission nor infection. So, if it did prevent that, then it becomes a much trickier conversation, because your refusal to not get this thing, if it did stop it, it does affect other human beings. And we have to, as people, we live in a society, so we have to understand how our actions affect other people. And then so there would have been a much more complicated moral question and conversation about whether or not that would be ethical to mandate it. With all things considered, even if the jab did prevent transmission nor infection, I still don't think that it would be right and just, and I would think it would be unjust to mandate it. With all things considered, with all the the death rates and the infection rates and the infectability, the rates of spread of the disease, and the side effects of getting the disease, the symptoms of the disease, all of that being considered, I still would not have mandated it or been a proponent of mandating the jab, even if it did prevent transmission or infection. But the biggest reason why I was against it was because you were lying to people and forcing them to take this thing that barely had any long-term clinical testing whatsoever. It did not have robust clinical testing. Like, vaccines take 10 to 15 years at least. Right? I come from the pharma world. I understand how this works, and they completely threw out all of that out the window. And they didn't have that, and on top of that, they never even tested for transmissibility. They just admitted that like a few months ago. But they lied to us. They deceived so many people for what? Who benefited the most, right? It was big pharma companies. It was people like Fauci, CDC. Right? Fauci became the highest paid employee in federal government. Oh, my dogs are barking. Should I check what's up? Okay, I'm gonna go check what's up. But all I'm trying to say is, it would have been a more complicated conversation if it actually did, but it didn't, and we knew that from the beginning, and they acted like it did. And that's why I was like, no. But that's the thing also, like that's also something, right? Hawk 6, even if it was 100% immunity, you can still carry it and pass it to other people who can't get it. So if, again, like considering what we already knew about virology and epidemiology and all of that, it was still absurd to mandate it. And so all things being said, when it comes to things like forcing people to take medical treatments or enacting laws or enacting or wielding political power to do what you think is in the best interest for the people, there's so much nuance that it's not just big government bad. A lot of the times, again, consolidations of power tend to corrupt. I mean, that's just the natural course of human history. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. But That being said, it doesn't mean inherently that regulatory bodies are bad, that if you have a strong government, it's going to be inherently bad. There are risks, there are benefits, there are pros, there are cons, and these are things we all have to have a conversation around, which is a reason why I started to get out of politics. I know I've been talking about politics for the past hour, but this is a reason why I got out of politics, because this kind of conversation isn't able to be had if you want a career in politics. Like, that's just the reality of it. Because you have to say certain talking points, people's attention spans are so low, and if you want to build an audience and if you want to make money in it, you have to say certain things that people want you to say, and then once you say something that people don't accept, then you're kicked out. This is definitely a characteristic of the left doing in this country, but also the right. You know, the right is not immune from this. They're much less so about that, kicking out people because they have a different belief than the left is today. But that's why I got out of politics, because the more that I learned about history, about philosophy, about politics and theology, and the more that I talked to people, the more that I listened to people I disagreed with at first, I started to realize I know so little. And there's so much more to learn. I'm only 25. In the broad scheme of things, if I live, hopefully, a long and healthy life, Lord, please let it be. Let it be done that I live a long, healthy life. I'm still very young. So I still have a lot to learn. I will never compromise what I know to be true, right? Which is informed by the Word of God. But, you know, when it comes to politics, and, you know, I used to be super libertarian, not anymore. Things like that, I want to be as open-minded as possible without letting my brain fall out. I haven't looked too much into it, Kiki, but I think it's crazy how many shots we like pump up young children with in this country. I looked at my immunization record and I'm like, I don't even know half of the things on here when I first looked at it. And I was like, and I asked my mom, like, do you even know what's in these things? And she's like, no. And I'm like, why are you taking them? I asked my brother when he got the shot, the vax, the jab, hey, like, can you name 3 components in it? He's like, no, I can't even name one. I'm like, why are you taking it then? Why are you taking it? Like, be a little more thoughtful about something that's supposed to, it's completely new technology, mRNA technology. Like, be a little more careful, please. Which is also an argument, I guess, against democracy, because most people don't even think about things like that. So many people didn't even think twice about getting the shot, just because people told them to, like those in power told them to. But yeah, I haven't looked into it too much, but I just think it is a bit alarming how much we, like, is it really necessary is my question. I'm not going to speak on it because I'm still learning, but like, those, exactly, just what Kiki listed there, like, they're filled with very harmful chemicals. And for people who are morally against things like abortion, like, most of the testing they do for these vaccines, right, it comes from one cell line from, I believe, aborted fetus from 1973. And so they're not continuously using cell lines from aborted fetuses. But if you don't feel it right in your conscience to take it, I don't think you should be forced to take it, especially if this vaccine was made using the cells of a baby who was murdered. But yeah. Alicia, I agree. A lot of what I've seen also steers me away, but I'm still not completely against the fundamental premise of vaccine technology, which is to introduce the body to a weakened version of the virus so that your body can build immunity to it. You know, you saw George Washington do that in the Revolutionary War. It's been a very common practice throughout history. They just streamlined it and modernized it in the past 100 years with modern vaccine technology. But again, that being said, the ones that we are injecting into our children and into everyone, I think it's fine to ask questions, right? It's totally okay to ask questions because you're injecting things that you don't really understand into your children's body, and you're just supposed to accept it, right? Which I think I say this with a grain of salt, but if we could trust our leaders to be good, morally righteous people, I would feel much better trusting them, even though I didn't understand it. But I know these people don't like us, okay? These people hate us. People in charge, they hate us, okay? They hate the American people. A lot of them do. Not all of them, of course, but most people and the people with the most power, they really don't like people. And they'll do anything to profit themselves because they're not led by a duty to glorify God and serve people and serve the best interests of the nation. They're just self-serving, greedy, gluttonous people. So yeah. There's no Sonic being played. No, Dallas, I'm gonna play Sonic. What time is it? Frick, it's 11:40. It's 11:50. Oh my gosh. No, I will play Sonic. Oh, should I just play tomorrow? Okay, guys, I'll be right back though. Enjoy the chair stream for like 2 minutes. I'm gonna check on the dogs. They're like barking. Okay. What's up, guys? I'm back. Oh man, chair stream. Chair. Well, I was wondering if you were single, Alicia. No, my chair is not single. Yes, I'm sitting on my chair because it's married to my booty. It's literally never leaving my booty. Gosh, yo, oh my gosh, the big dog, he pooped. Here's the thing, I literally took him out in the morning. I also took him out before I left for volleyball practice to poop if he needed to poop. But then in the morning, I already said he pooped once. And then right before I left for volleyball practice, like right before I took him out, he pooped again. And I go upstairs, he pooped again! How many times do you have to poop? He pooped 3 times! Bro! We don't even feed him that much. Oh, now I have to clean it up. I'm gonna clean it up after the stream, but it like smells, man. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, I need to clean that up. Oh, I already cleaned up poop twice. I hate cleaning poop, okay? You know, I have a younger sister, and I would change her diapers when she was younger, and I hated poop. Diapers were like literally the bane of my existence, because not only like do you have to throw out the diaper, but you have to like clean the baby's booty. And oh my gosh, that's the stench of the poop. Sorry, I don't know if you guys are eating, but yeah. Does he constantly have access to food? No, he doesn't. We don't feed him that much. Like, he's a big dog, right? He's a golden retriever, like a white golden retriever. But we don't feed him that much. Feed him twice a day. And it's not even that much food. And we only feed him dog food. Like, we, at least from what I know, we don't feed him much like human food either. But like, but the thing is, like when my landlord takes him out. Whoa, Alicia! I hope this makes you feel better. Also, I am Shade. 1995. Okay, I don't know if that was 95 Shade, but I think that was Alicia. So thank you so much, Alicia, for the donation. Wow, 1995. Almost $20. We hit it, guys. We hit 200. We are over to the 200 mark. We are almost there to 500, guys. We're almost halfway there. We're almost halfway there. We're like $40 away from being halfway to the birthday goal of the PS5. I love it. Yeah, Kiki, you should send it, and you can also send it in the Discord and like the politics channel. I will definitely check it out. Is it Shade or is it me? Who knows? I don't know, because you have to put your name in for the donation. So that could have been Shade or it could have been Alicia. But whoever it is, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Alicia or Shade, whoever it was. Thank you, thank you. Or you can put in Conspicy. That's true. Actually, I haven't checked that channel yet. Yeah, we're almost halfway there. And it's still January. It's still January. Guys, you guys are fantastic. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Try out Demon Souls when you get a PS5. What's Demon Souls about? Okay, anyways. Ranting about life and politics. This was a crazy stream. We talked, well, I talked a lot, but you guys also chatted a lot, gave a lot of good thoughts and contributions to the chat. Thank you guys. That was very, very good. Very thoughtful, and it was very fun. We talked about anime, Attack on Titan, and then we started talking about theology and faith, and we started talking about politics, and now we're talking about dog poop and whether or not it was Alicia or Shade who donated the $20. But thank you. Thank you so much, Alicia. Yes, absolutely. I love it. I love it so much. I really, really appreciate it. Oh, thank you, Leah Rose. I really appreciate that you guys enjoy the rants. I feel like I would kind of... Actually, I don't know. I don't really listen to myself that much. So hopefully it's insightful and it's helpful, stirs some new thoughts, and it's fun and entertaining, because I really don't think that I'm that entertaining, but thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Just DM Jet. Thank you, Kiki. Same studio as Elden Ring, Hawk 6. Okay. Structure and gameplay, but I won't reveal too much. Okay, Demon Souls. I don't like demons, though. I'm a Christian. We hate demons here. Which is also funny, because people are like, hate is not biblical. Yeah, it is. You have to hate sin and hate the enemy. Just don't hate people, because they're made in the image of God. Whoa, Demon Souls. This looks sick. I'll show you guys what I'm looking at. Demon Souls. Ooh, RPG? Is it an RPG? This looks sick. I'd be down to play. Bum bum bum. All right, good night, Kiki. Thanks for tuning in. It's interesting listening to you. Thank you, Alicia. Oh, so true. Alicia, wow. Wow. Amen and a woman. So inclusive. We have the most inclusive beings ever. So inclusive. So diverse. So equitable. We love it. We love to see it. Don't use sick as a slang? Bad cringe? Really? Why is it cringe? Do you guys hate when I say sick? Should I say slick? Like Slick Rick? Slick? Slick. All right. I was gonna wake up early tomorrow. Might not happen. Cause I wanted to play. I wanted to beat Sonic Frontiers. But I just ended up talking y'all's ears off. Oh, DJ, it's a me thing. I've always hated it. Really? Oh, I'm sorry. I'll say slick instead then. Every time I say sick, you can tell me to say slick instead. Slick. Reminds me of an old man. Slick Rick. Hey, don't call Slick Rick old. Hey, can someone tell Slick Rick that Stinky called him old? Don't talk about my man like that behind his back. Leros, me too. I say sick all the time too. No, reminds me of a dude. Do you want me to remind you of a female then? I don't want to remind anyone of that. I'm a dude. I'm a bruh. He is old. I'm not that old though. Slick Rick is kind of old. But he's not super old. Alright. Well. Here we go. We're gonna do it, guys. We're gonna do it. You guys heard the switch turn on, right? Boom! We are here. We're doing this. We're playing Sonic Frontiers. And we're gonna try to beat the game today. Alright. Alright. Here we go. Where did we leave off? Oh, we were here. Okay. What are those Jaguar looking things? Huh? What the? Whoa! Ow! Yo, the moment I turn it on, they just like come after me. Ow! What the heck? Oh, I have to parry them. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. What the heck? Again? Boom, 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 boom. Alright. Oh, heart. Is Amy on this island? Oh, sage. They're sage hearts. Okay. I lost all my rings. Screw you. No, DJ, I'll change it for you. I'll change what I say for you. Don't cancel. Just don't cancel me. DJ's the last person I want to be canceled from. All right, here we go. Woo-wee. Actually, I want to hit that goobly goob. Is it taking me somewhere, or do I have to like? Oh, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. No, it didn't take me anywhere. What a waste of time. Cancel DJ instead. No, don't cancel him. Oh no. Whoa, they're strong. Ouch. Hit me. Hit me. Oh, uh-oh. Okay. Good night, Alicia. Boom, boom. Oh yeah, I love this move. Alright, cool. Phantom Rush. Woo! Alright, which way am I going? Uh-oh, it's a tower. Oh, red pillar. Oh, he's different than tower. Ouch. Okay. Great. Woo! Oh, I'm gonna die. Yeah. Is it lagging? Oh my gosh. I don't want to restart the stream though. All right. I think I am having a bit of computer issues for some reason. Oh. It seems pretty laggy on my end too. Let's just gonna go back to where I was. Almost there, right? Almost like right here. Okay. I don't want a super laggy stream, so I'm just gonna save it here. And we'll just, cause I haven't been recording the gameplay, so then if I want to upload it to YouTube, I need to download the VOD. But how about we'll just beat it tomorrow? We'll just beat it tomorrow because the dogs are being annoying too. They're barking again. Ah, I put them in the cage. Rick, go sleep. It's late. But okay, we'll just end it there then. The frames, yeah. I want to be able to upload this to YouTube, so maybe we won't have computer problems tomorrow. Okay. Well, that's it for Sonic. Sorry, guys. But we did play Sonic today. So I did actually play Sonic. So the category was true. I wasn't lying to anyone. Okay. Okay, guys. I think I'm gonna end the stream here. I'm so tired. It's late and the dogs are being annoying. So I think I'll just continue tomorrow. But it's gonna be a late stream tomorrow. We'll just play Sonic like right away then, because it's gonna be a late stream tomorrow, 11 p.m. because I have class, and I can't miss this class, so I have to go. Okay. Oh, Slick Rig, what's up? Yeah, no, I barely played. Like I played like for guys, how much? Like 5-10 minutes. With my vlog cleaning the floor of dog poop. Oh, that would be funny, wouldn't it? That'd be kind of funny. 4 minutes. Oh, it was just 4 minutes. Okay. Well, still, we had a good stream. We talked about a lot, and it was almost 3 hours. Well, it'll be 3 hours once we wrap up. Yeah, content. Okay. Maybe I can do like a short, funny video. All right. Anyways, guys, we gotta do, before we end, it is already 12, so happy Wednesday. But verse of the day, Psalm 139, 9-10. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me, your right hand will hold me fast. So true. There is nowhere that we could go where God will still not guide us and hold us fast. Reminds me of the verse, neither death nor life, nor things or things or will separate us from the love of God. Wow, I am butchering that. Neither death nor life. In Romans, it was Romans 10, right? Or 8, sorry. That neither death nor life, there you go, angels nor rulers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus our Lord. Amen. Amen. So especially for us who are in Christ, who are in the family of God, you know, even if I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, God's hand will guide us and his right hand will hold us fast. That's true. I actually like the thoughts of today's verse. I guess for those who find themselves in places they shouldn't be, the abiding presence of God might be a bit terrifying. But I find great comfort in knowing that no matter where I go, from the moment of my conception to the day of my death, God is always there. He is there to guide me and sustain me, even when I'm in places I'm not supposed to be, doing things I'm not supposed to do. He's still there. I can turn to him in repentance and receive his grace. I can turn to him in need and receive his strength. I can turn to him and know that I am not alone. We are not alone. And so when Jesus says, go therefore, make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you, and behold, I am with you to the end of the age. When Jesus says that, it's the same sentiment here, that he's always with us. His hand will guide us. His hand will hold us fast. Nothing will be able to separate us from the love of God, from the steadfastness, from the comfort that we find in God. But yet, it also means that he's always with us. So if we're doing things we're not supposed to do, if we're looking at things, or we're at places we're not supposed to be, looking at things we're not supposed to be looking at, you know, I'm telling this is for myself as well. He's there. And it might be, you know, sometimes it's almost a meme at this point that God is always watching you. But he is, and he's always with you. And it might be a bit terrifying for those who are not in Christ, but if we're in Christ, we can always turn to him and receive forgiveness once again. So there's an accountability aspect to that too, but it's so comforting knowing that God is always with us, right? Through our highs, through our lows, through the valleys, and through the mountains. He's always with us. He's always with us. Amen. 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 Psalm 139 is amazing. Psalm 139 is also where David says that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and he knit us together in our mother's womb. Very true. Every one of you in the chat who is listening and watching, all 20 of you right now, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and God knew you even before he knit you in your mother's womb. So true. Slick Rick, that's actually very good. That's actually a very sobering thought. Yeah, with us always, not just a promise, but a reality. And even the media we engage should be as if Jesus is engaging it with us. Again, that's like a meme for a lot of people who hate Christianity and hate Jesus, but it's true. It's absolutely true. And so let that be a sobering reminder, but also a comforting reminder that God is always with us. He knew all our days before there was any of them. So true. God made time, all right? Time is nothing to him. It ain't nothing. It ain't nothing. All right. Are you Calvinist or Armenian? I'm Christian. I guess that's the cop-out answer. I'm like maybe a 2.5 point Calvinist. I'm not a full Calvinist, but also I'm not a full Armenian. Let's see. Well, I grew up in the Methodist church, so I was a little more Armenian leading, and then I went to a Presbyterian, very reformed church in LA, and I became a lot more Calvinist because a lot of the people around me were like, Calvinism's amazing. And then centrist. I guess I'm a centrist on it. Yeah, never go full tulip. Total depravity, I agree with because I just think that's biblical. We were so depraved and nothing could save us other than the substitutionary atonement of Christ on the cross. Tulip, what is it? There's total depravity. L is limited atonement, which I don't agree with because it clearly says his desire is for all to be saved. In John 3:16, it also says that he came, he so loved the world so that, for God so loved the world that he gave us his one and only son, that whomever may believe in him will not perish but have eternal life. Irresistible grace, I disagree with. God's grace is irresistible. That's why people resist it all the time. I know that's like not a wild but like a mischaracterization of it. I understand it's like if you've been touched by God's grace, like you can't resist it because it's just that powerful and he's in control. But I still don't subscribe to irresistible grace because I do believe even when people have tasted and seen of the goodness of God, they still reject him. Literally, you saw people. I shared this with us yesterday, with you guys yesterday, that people were literally seeing the goodness of Christ. They saw God incarnate in flesh, performing miracles, doing things, doing good, and being the only perfect being who ever lived. And they still rejected him. They saw him in his full glory and his not full because he was still 100% man. So I guess it wouldn't be technically his full glory, but in his person. And they saw him in his grace and he still rejected it. So there's that. I reject that. I just don't think irresistible grace is biblical, nor is it really reality. And then P is perseverance of the saints. I actually thought I'm still maybe this is why I say 2.5 because it's like I'm still wrestling with that because I used to believe you're once saved always saved. You're adopted into the family of God and you were children of wrath. Now you are children of God. You are sons and daughters of the King. And when you're adopted into a family, God doesn't abandon you. But the thing is, we also have free will. So much like a family, we can be adopted into the family and God will never let go of you, but you can let go and leave the family. And I don't know. I think there's also personal experience too and anecdotal, but I've seen so many people so on fire and love God. So like not even just like passionately, but in their head have really sound like theology and they just seem so like they loved God and everything they did was for God, and then they're just hardcore atheists now. And for me to say that they just were never saved and they never had genuine saving faith, I don't know. It's a bit hard for me to say. Yes, Slick Rick, that's the thing. It's like who are we to say whether or not someone had genuine saving faith? And obviously, yeah, maybe in the grand scheme of things, we'll never truly be able to tell because that's up to God and God can only judge. But that's the thing. It's like Slick Rick, we are sealed by the Spirit and Jesus no one can take us out of his hand. But we also can leave him. I guess that's not a really eloquent way of explaining what I'm trying to really say. It's also late, but we also didn't earn salvation, but we accepted salvation, right? Salvation is a free gift paid for by someone else's blood, by the blood of Christ, by the blood of the Lamb. And so we didn't earn it, but we accepted it. And it's something that we can refuse, which is why irresistible grace is wrong, because Calvinists say that it's something that you can't refuse. And that's why they emphasize the elect, right? That God has already predestined those who are to be saved, who are the elect. But I do believe you can reject it. You can reject the gift of salvation, even if you have seen and tasted of the goodness of God. And so, in the same way we can accept the gift, we can take the gift and we can discard the gift. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. So that's true. No, be vindicated. That's true. That's also great. Thank you. Thank you for that verse reference. Paul also said many will depart from the faith. So that means they were in the faith to begin with, right? So people can depart. I do believe, I think I'm becoming more like, I guess, well, this is Armenian thought too, but this is like traditional Catholic thought too, of people being able to lose their salvation. Which is why, Catholics say, like, if you're not in the grace of God, you're not saved, which is why you need to do confession and all that stuff. But, yeah, I am still struggling. I'm still wrestling with perseverance of the saints. I used to be very like, yeah, like, that's definite. Like, if you're once saved, always saved. But as I get older and as I learn more about theology and traditional church teaching, I kind of am starting to waver back. Because I grew up learning that you can lose your salvation, and then I started to believe in the perseverance of the saints, and then I now do not believe in it fully, 100%. So that's the 0.5 part. Number 2, the second letter was at U. Was it unconditional? Oh my gosh, I always forget this one. U is unconditional election. There you go, unconditional election. I was like, unconditional something. Nah, I don't agree with that. I don't agree that God unconditionally just chose who would be saved. I don't think that's biblical. How could he choose who and who is not to be saved if it's so clearly said in the Bible that God's desire is that all be saved, and that he died so that the world would be saved and have eternal life with him? Like, he can't have a desire that all would be saved and then just discard everyone before they were even born. Like, yes, like, before we were even knit in our mother's womb, he knew us and he knew our days, right? Before the foundations of the world, he knew us. He knew our names. But I don't think I don't think it's biblically accurate, and also the teaching of the church for many years before John Calvin came along, that God just unconditionally chose who would be saved or not. And I know a lot of Calvinists say, yeah, but it's like, it's not really like he's some Calvinists say it's not really like he's choosing. He just knew who would be saved. And like, yes, God of course knows who would be saved or not. But I don't think it's accurate to say that God just chose people even before they were born to be saved. Because that would be in contradiction with his desire that all would be saved, which is why Jesus had to pay the ultimate price on the cross. Good night, DJ. Adoption is a very deep thing, but I agree with you, Slick Rick. But again, like much like adoption, you can leave that adoption, right? Pant shader. John Calvin made things way too confusing for us. Thanks, Calvin. I appreciate your mess. Well, salvation isn't just work and following, it's adoption and sealing first. Yes. But, you know, in James it says that faith without works is dead. And so, you know, if you're not bearing that fruit of works, then you're not really saved. So, which is why I kind of understand, and I almost agree with the Catholic understanding of salvation. It's not works plus faith saves you, faith plus works, but it's faith unto works that saves you. And that's biblically accurate, even in Ephesians 2 when it says, for it is by grace you have been saved, not by your own doing, so that no one can boast. But also it says that, but we are his craftsmanship made to do good works. And so we are saved by grace through faith unto good works. And if those works aren't present, then we're not really saved. On top of that, because of our fallen sin nature, there's going to be times where we turn away from Christ and we don't want to do good works and we want to indulge in our sin. And so in those moments, though, you still have to do the right thing and you still have to work. You still have to sometimes even grit your teeth and do the right thing, even if you don't want to, and even if your flesh is telling you otherwise. So but then just because you don't feel like it doesn't negate the fact that you still have to do good works, right? Anyways, what I'm trying to say is I don't agree with Tulip 100%. I agree with total depravity because I think that's just common sense. Total depravity is part of the gospel because there's nothing good that we could have done that would make us worthy. I guess total depravity takes it a little too far, maybe. They're like, you're just so depraved. There's nothing good you can do. I mean, people can do good. It's just that our good is almost meaningless because our sin makes us so unholy and unworthy to a perfect and just God. But yeah, Mike Winger is really good. I appreciate him. He is very thoughtful and as biblically accurate as possible with his videos and his live streams. But that's true. Our only good is from the remnant of, well, it is not only remnant of God's image, but God's image in us. He has written his law on our hearts. So we can still do good. I think a lot of Calvinists would say, in terms of total depravity, they would say, oh, I hate, there's nothing. You're so depraved. There's nothing good you can do. It's like, okay, relax. There's good people can do. It's just that, again, yes, our sin nature makes us so depraved because there are sins that we commit that are so depraved, especially in the eyes of a holy and just and perfect God. So, yes, we are depraved, and there's nothing that can save us other than Christ, right? Christ was the ultimate sacrifice and was the lamb. We are saved by the blood of the lamb and the word of our testimony. So what I'm trying to say is yeah, maybe I'm a 1.5 Calvinist. Actually, yeah, maybe I'm a 1.5 Calvinist. There you go. We'll leave it at that. I'm a 1.5 Calvinist. I agree with total depravity, and I somewhat am wrestling with perseverance of the saints. Because, Slick Rick makes really good comments and points here as well. Exactly. Ephesians 2:10 right there, being vindicated. For we are his workmanship. We're craftsmanship, I think in ESV it says that. Created in Christ Jesus in good works, which God has prepared that we would walk in them. And so he prepared us for those good works already. And that is the extension, right? A lot of Protestants only look at Ephesians 2:8-9, but they forget the 10 part. Salvation, your soteriology should be, we are saved by grace through faith unto good works. You should never, ever leave out that unto good works part. Then, in my opinion, your soteriology is flawed because you are saved by grace through faith unto good works. Those good works, you are made to do those good works, and especially in Christ Jesus, when you are saved, you are made to do those good works, and that is a fruit of your salvation. And it's not separated. It goes hand in hand, which is again why James says faith without works is dead. But works don't definitely prove salvation, but it is a proof of salvation. And when we are saved, we work out our faith with fear and trembling, right? We do good works, even when we don't feel like it, right? Even when it's hard to, even when our flesh might be even stronger in the moment than our desire for godliness and righteousness. We still got to do it. And if we don't do it, I mean, still no excuse, right? Like, sin is still sin, evil still evil, and an evil action cannot be justified by good intention, which is what St. Thomas Aquinas said, which is very true. You can't justify what is evil, no matter what excuse you have, and no matter how good your intentions were, evil still evil. And so, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. We have to keep the moral law. So true. Be vindicated. So true. And Slick Rick, that is very true as well. You will know them by their fruit. And if they have rotten fruit, they have rotten roots. They have rotten roots. They really, I mean, even if you're rotten fruit, you have to repent. But if the roots are really rotten, then really gotta repent. Pants Shader, I think I genuinely agree with that as well. God shows us the way, shows us the way, but it's up to us whether we want to accept it or reject it. Yes. Paul says some will be saved so as by fire, meaning people who had very little to no good works but were still saved. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, there's always the reference to the thief on the cross as well when people talk about their soteriology. And it's true, like, Jesus said, you will be with me in paradise. And what did the thief do? The thief didn't work out his faith in fear and trembling his whole life. Like, he acknowledged Jesus as Lord right before he died. When he was on the cross, when he was hanging on the cross in his last moments of life. So people can still be, like, people can be saved on their deathbed, right? But it's a matter of, like, which, you know, sometimes it's like, oh, it's not fair. But that is just the Christian faith. And that is just how God saves people. Like, you might be saved on your deathbed, or you might be saved, like when you're really young, like as a teenager. But just because you're saved as a teenager doesn't mean that you can just, like, purposefully, because you're like, oh, I could just, like, you know, repent on my deathbed or something. Like, it doesn't mean you should purposefully or can purposely indulge in sin, because nothing's for certain, right? Nothing's for certain. Maybe you're in a season of life where, as Catholics would put it, you're out of grace. And you get into a car crash and pass away. Nothing's for certain. And so, you know, fear shouldn't be the only thing driving us, of course, for our love for God. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge that death is a reality and nothing's for certain in life. And more so than just being in eternal joy and happiness in heaven with God, we should be motivated by a desire, right, to serve him and obey his commandments, because his commandments are good, right? The word of God is good, and it's life-giving, and it's so healing, and that's what we need. That's really what we need. And a lot of people always ask, why did we end up the way that we did? It's because we deviated from the word of God, okay? We were at our strongest in American society when the word of God was the bedrock. The commandments of God were the moral code by which people lived by in American society. And we deviated from that. And then things got so complicated and convoluted and ugly and tragic. It's very sad. Like, why do you think mass shootings are so high now? We had the loosest gun laws. We had no gun laws. We had the Second Amendment. We had no gun laws in this country for many, many years until late last year. Not last year, like last year. That's wrong. Don't clip that. We haven't had any gun laws until late last century. That's what I meant. But there were no mass shootings. There was like one recorded mass shooting, I think, in American history, up until they introduced gun laws, if I'm not mistaken. You can correct me on that, but that's from what I know. And it was because people lived as righteously as possible. Because that was what it was. Like, you didn't have to enshrine it in our founding documents at all, even, because the settlers were Christian. There were Christians fleeing religious persecution, and it was just the way of life for the settlers who settled in America and who founded America. It was just a Christian country. Uh-oh. Pants Shader redeemed Oni-chan sound.
Oni-chan,
while we're talking about theology and faith. But you know, I think this is a very poignant point that, you know, our Constitution really doesn't work with a moral, religious people, righteous people. It doesn't work, and especially our amendments and the Bill of Rights, but especially the first two amendments, right? Freedom of speech. Well, in the wrong hands, the freedom of speech can do real harm to society and to family and those around you. But also, the Second Amendment, right, only works if you have moral people bearing arms. And then there's always the argument that, yeah, but a good guy with guns can stop a bad guy with guns. But the damage of the bad guy with guns is almost already done or committed, or there's already damage done by the bad guy with the gun before the good guy with the gun can step in. And obviously there are a lot of stories where the good guy with the gun stopped the bad guy with the gun, where there were no casualties, of course. But there are so many scenarios as well where the bad guy with the gun already, like for example, the Uvalde shooting. Before any good guy with a gun could have stopped the Uvalde shooter, which is, oh my gosh, makes me so sad whenever I think about it. Children would have already been dead. And so, more so than arguing, in my opinion, I think you can argue the benefits and the pros of gun ownership in this country. But more importantly, the focus we need to have is to have people be moral, religious people again. To be Christian again. Because, again, like, here's the thing about the Second Amendment. This might be a very controversial take, but I just don't think a psychopath should be able to buy guns. I just don't. I think a criminal with, like, unless they have proven extensively that they are a good member of society again, I just don't think a psychopathic criminal should be able to own guns. Like, a lot of these mass shooters, right? They had all the indicators, and the FBI knows this, right? Every single time, the FBI already knew that this person was problematic, but they did nothing to stop them. Every single time, fatherless homes. 100% of the times, mass shooters come from fatherless homes. 100% of the times. They have mental health issues. Their classmates or their peers always talk about how the concerning things that they say or they post. And so then the question becomes, like, should the government be able to bar certain people? You know, there's the red flag laws where people can leverage that against anyone they just disagree with and say, oh, they're like an extremist. Yeah, that's bad, right? So those are conversations we should be having. But I don't think it's an unreasonable position to say that someone who is mentally unwell and very, very, like, exhibiting really, 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 really dangerous behavior, I don't think it's unreasonable to say we shouldn't just it should be super easy for them to just buy a gun off the shelves from a store and just be able to walk into a school and, like, shoot children with it. I don't think that's unreasonable. That being said, I'm still a proponent of the Second Amendment. Roof Koreans, you guys know them in LA. But I think it's fine to it's not unreasonable. It's not unreasonable to say, hey, but I think it's kind of crazy that someone who is clearly mentally ill, or someone is clearly, like, who said online that they're gonna go and kill people, yeah, we shouldn't allow them to buy a gun. I don't think that's unreasonable. But that being said, it's like, that's not even, like, that wasn't even thinkable. That was unthinkable in most of American history, because, again, they were led by, whether it be social pressure or familial pressure, or, you know, whether or not they were actually truly Christian or not, they were still abiding by, for the most part, good morals, especially compared to today. And mental health wasn't that big of a problem. Like it wasn't as big of a problem as it is today in terms of those who are completely mentally unhinged and depressed and anxious and oh man. So because families were healthier, like their families were more put together, fathers and mothers were more present, you know, children had much more healthier social lives in their local communities and all those things, which are tried, tested, and true remedies for a lot of the problems that we experience today. But the Second Amendment, again, can't work without a moral and religious people. And in the American context, a Christian people. Because in the wrong hands, a gun will seriously harm and kill innocent people. Zanger Marsh. No, that's true. Again, which is why we have to have a conversation. We have to have a conversation. That, you know, communists always pathologized dissidents and called them mentally ill as part of this disarmament efforts. They always completely vilified and attributed malice and mentally ill, you know, prescriptions and diagnoses to those who are political dissidents, which is increasingly happening today, which is why, again, like, I'm not a proponent of gun laws, right? I'm not a proponent of gun legislation, broadly speaking, but I don't think it's unreasonable to say, well, I don't think that someone who has a clear history of violent behavior or exhibiting a desire for violent behavior, we should take 2 steps back and ask ourselves before we allow this person just freely get a firearm off the shelves. But which is why, again, like, this is why, like I said earlier, politics is very, like, it's very nuanced, and we gotta be able to have this conversation, but we can't. Because, like, you know, there's always those stupid, like, anti-gun arguments, too. Like, you know, the Founding Fathers made the Second Amendment. They were just talking about muskets, and it takes so long to reload. There's the puckle gun, okay? Even before the founding of the country, there's the puckle gun that was made in the early 1700s, which is basically the old version of a modern machine gun. There was the puckle gun. The Founding Fathers already knew the capability and knew the future capabilities for weaponry and firearms. They're not stupid, okay? And they already had similar technology to automatic rifle should be banned or semi-automatic should be banned because assault rifles, assault weapons, Founding Fathers never considered. No, Founding Fathers already knew it already existed, and they already knew the potential for it, right? So a lot of anti-gun arguments are terrible. I understand that. They made cannons too. No, they actually absolutely did. They made cannons in terms of the Second Amendment, which, you know, it's crazy. I don't think, you know, a lot of people like Tim Pool say, like, according to the Second Amendment, people should be able to own nuclear. Like, whoa, no. That's too crazy. But I think baseline, yes, people should have the right to bear arms. Absolutely. But that being said, because we're such an anti-Christian country and we've become so secularized and people come from such disjointed, dysfunctional, broken families, I don't think it's... And I think, you know, if there's any, like, gun control legislation and it, like, prohibits or bars, like, you know, people who are clearly mentally unwell or have very, very, very clearly malicious intent, I think it should be as localized as possible because localities know their community much more than some bureaucrats in Washington. So I don't know if I'd be... I don't think... I probably wouldn't be in favor of any, like, federal red flag laws or whatnot. Just in general, red flag laws for me are like red flags. But yeah, I think it's fine to kind of engage in that conversation without completely strawmanning, mischaracterizing, or even just like ad hominem the other side. Anyways, that's it. I know. Oh my gosh, I was supposed to end 30 minutes ago after the verse of the day, but then we started talking about Calvinism and stuff. Who asked that question? Why did you ask that question? Okay, Zangor Marsh is a long chat, so I think I'll read it. Who are the militia? Are they not ourselves? Is it feared then that we shall turn our arms against each man against his own bosom? Congress have no power to disarm the militia. Their swords and every other terrible implement of the soldier are the birthright of an American. The unlimited power of the sword is not in the hands of either the federal or state governments, but where I trust in God, it will ever remain in the hands of the people. Well, that's a great quote, but also notice it says, where I trust in God, it will ever remain in the hands of the people. It's in God, right? So I trust in God in the hands of the people. And I think that's a huge component that we have to also consider when we think about the Second Amendment. So Hawk 6, I think it becomes too hypothetical once we view the laws entirely from an individual point of view, like the spirit of the Second Amendment and self-preservation, which a mentally ill man should not be tasked with, and therefore wouldn't need to own a gun. His family, community, country should help. Well, hypothetical. I mean, it does become too hypothetical, but a lot of the times hypotheticals become reality, right? I think there are absurd hypotheticals which never happen or never will happen, but yeah, like I think the scenarios that I mentioned, I don't think they're like hypotheticals, but the spirit of the Second Amendment is self-preservation, which a mentally ill should not be tasked with. Yeah, but like that's not really a hypothetical because that's like a reality, right? Like I think it's not absurd or unfounded in reality to say that if certain mass shooters didn't have access to firearms, because a lot of them got it legally, right? There's always the argument of criminals always get it illegally, which is a good argument for the pro-gun side, which is very true, and I agree with that. Like, there's a huge gun market, and a lot of the criminals who commit crime obtain their guns legally, but there are a lot of big mass shooting events that always make the news, that a lot of the times they purchase their guns legally. And should we make it harder for citizens to purchase guns legally? In general, no, of course not. But if someone is very, very mentally unwell, and provably so, I don't think it's unjust and unreasonable for localities to bar that person from purchasing firearms and to get them the help that they need. Well, Zangromarsh, yeah, absolutely. He hoped to God that the government state will not have no monopoly on weapons. I agree with that. I don't think the government should ever have monopoly on weapons. But at the same time, I don't think we should just be broadly allowing anyone to purchase firearms legally, no matter what, no matter their history, no matter their intentions, or all of that stuff. I think there could be a good balance. Because I think 100 years ago, 200 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, like firearms for all, no problem. But that was an era where mass shootings didn't happen. Of course, there was like the Wild Wild West, you know, there was always like shootouts, and that always happened. That's not like, I'm not trying to romanticize the past, but mass shootings didn't happen where like people would just get guns and just mass shoot a group of people because they were like psychopathic sociopaths. A lot of the times, you know, a lot of those gunfights were for honor and legacy. And do I agree with that? No, I guess not really, but yeah. Okay, cool. Anyways, I'm done. You guys, we can engage more in the Discord as always, continue the conversation. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know this was a huge talking stream. We played Sonic Frontiers for 4 minutes, but we'll play Sonic Frontiers tomorrow. We'll play more of that. Yeah, Hawk 6, yeah, absolutely. This is my understanding of two. It's my understanding too. Absolutely. I agree with you as well. True. Poker game's gone wrong. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Love you all. God bless. Good night. I shall see you tomorrow. Hopefully we can finish the game tomorrow, because I don't know if I have time on Thursday to stream. I actually have a flight on Thursday, but I can't leave on Thursday, so I'm trying to get that changed, but I'm seeing if I can get that changed. It's because the flight's tomorrow. Oh, shoot. Okay, I have to make sure I can do that. Okay, I'm going to try to do that tonight, actually. Okay, cool. Because I'll be in DC this weekend. All right, love you all. Good night. Don't promise yourself that you won't rant on streams tomorrow. I probably won't, because I'm gonna play Sonic. I promise. All right, good night, guys. I need to pee as well. So bye. Go sleep.